Whoa!
That
Here we
intro
are.
music, man.
Here we are, man. Yeah. Thank you, man. That's original stuff, man.
I love that intro music.
Thank you.
Did we say it was good?
I think it was good.
No.
It's better than most of the music being put out today.
It's like, man, that sucks.
I heard interesting. I heard it ended abruptly. I didn't hear good anywhere in there at all.
No, I dug it, man.
I
Thank
did.
you.
Johnny, was that you playing?
That was me.
Music?
That was all me, man. That was something I recorded 14 years ago, man.
Unfortunately, we've received a copyright request now, and we're going to have to flag you.
I know, right?
Yeah. No.
Johnny, don't sue us.
This is the perfect way to put out music that I never put out. You know, it's all stuff that's not on the internet. It's nowhere. It's basically just demos of stuff that I never, completed. And this is the perfect avenue for that stuff. So it's great.
You know, there's a box floating by my head.
Yeah.
You see this?
I see that. Oh, that reminds me, man.
Yeah, it is. By the way, John, you are a channel member.
I've been told I'm a member many times.
Yeah, there it is.
That reminds me. You guys, you can become a channel member. Member.
I member. Touch my member.
Remember the Empire and the Torchons? Remember?
Oh, I remember Chewbacca. Oh, I remember.
And that's how we're going to begin.
Yeah. Wow.
Hey,
look at this.
Executive producers.
Yeah, look at that. We've got our own card for this. It's I've had a week to work on all this stuff. And by the way, it's April 21st of 2020. It's 8:11 p.m. Eastern time. And John Beal is here. He says you're too loud.
I'm too loud now.
Right. Sounds good to me.
No, he's talking to me. He says, "Man, Kuda, shut up." That's what he meant.
I'm too loud. Let me back off a little bit and see how that goes.
Yeah. But hey, we have executive producers such as Charles Green, Music Therapy Labs, Robbie Johnston, Mike Neese, and Michael Smith.
Nice.
So they're channel members.
They're also our bosses now.
Yeah.
They're our overlords.
Yeah.
Right now we're going committee. What can we do about Mancuda's bullshit?
By the way, that should be the name of your autobiography. What can we do?
Well, I actually titled it already. It's John Mancuda, Destined for Greatness.
Nice.
As in you're going to Florida, destined Florida.
Watch, the editor's going to change it to Destined for Masturbateness.
Oh. So it'll be a short story.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a quick 2-page flipper.
That's what she said.
With a centerfold.
Yeah. Man, this is crazy.
Except in your case, the centerfold is like a J card and a cassette.
It's really narrow and really floppy.
Wow.
And you really have to squint to see it.
You're looking at it real close. Yeah. Like liner notes.
It says any public broadcast is prohibited. That part we remember.
Oh God, yeah. Listen, I'm the FCC darling this week.
Wow. Well, hey, Neanderthal.
Hi.
Welcome, man. Welcome. Jonathan Mancuda.
Hey, everyone out there, iHeartRadio and in the chat and in every other format we're in now.
Yeah, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Sound better? Oh, you're asking him?
Yes, I am.
Apple Podcasts and really
Spotify, iHeartRadio.
Really quickly, I've got some new cards. There's all kinds of stuff going on here, man. I'll show you guys who's coming up on the channel here. Let me remove that.
Oh, nice.
Kirk Winstein, a nice Jewish boy.
Oi.
He'll be here.
I could be nice like Kirk.
He'll be here on.
Is that Rabbi Winstein?
Where's that thing at? There we go. He'll be here on Friday, and then the following Friday. Man, where is that? I think. Yeah, following Friday, we'll have this guy. Plays
Billy
bass.
Sheehan.
Billy Sheehan.
Wow.
Wow, you're getting all big time now.
He'll be here.
Jeez.
And then the following Friday, we'll have Greg Runoff.
You know what's great is this is the this lockdown is the best thing that could possibly happen to your channel.
Yeah, because we have access
guys-
to people suddenly.
Yeah, well, they're home, so they don't feel like they're being invaded, and they've got nothing else to do. So the opportunity to sit down and talk to somebody. Look, we all get sort of cabin fever. So this is great. No, this is a great chance for your show and your channel to become more relevant and bigger. Which is take advantage of that. Don't let the body get cold,
dude.
I've been hitting on a couple of rock star friends of mine, and they're all like, hey, Eric Turner of Warrant, you want to come on the channel? You want to come on the show for an episode? Well, let me watch an episode, John. No, don't do that. Come on. And he's like, I'm gonna think about it. Hello, Eric. Hello. Yeah. And no, I'm gonna ask a couple of guys because like I keep trying, and I always get like, hello, Mark. Yeah. Who's this? That's John Mancuda.
Oh, Mark's not here.
Is this Mark Kendall of Great White?
No, it's his housekeeper, Mark, no home. No, he no here. Mr. Kendall no here.
Yeah,
He
no, I gotta ask a couple people because Billy Sheehan, that's I don't know, he's like right up there, man.
Really? You're going out on a limb on that one. You're calling Billy Sheehan an A-level talent. That's a bold statement.
Listen, for us, I'm a B-level talent. So,
No, I mean, arguably one of the, 4 best rock bass players of all time. Arguably.
No, absolutely.
The Eddie Van Halen of the bass.
And normally, like, if I go out in the real world, I'm like a Q-level talent. There's like the A-list, B-list, D-list. D-list, you have like Kathy Griffin. I go on a red carpet. It's usually like with a vacuum, to make ready for everyone. Hey, come on, get off there. So the celebrities are going to show up. I was on TV a lot. Yeah.
I will tell you, we were at a party in LA at like one of those radio and records convention deals. And I just remember it's a Sky Bar, and like Harrison Ford is upstairs in the upstairs area, the VIP area, and David Spade is not. So, hey, who can we sue it? And we're hammered, and somebody goes, let's throw David Spade in the fucking pool. And it was like the nefarious plot. Now, as every drink went down, the plot became a little bit more sinister and a little bit more real to happen. Thankfully, his handlers were all like, we should probably leave now. And then I hear in the background, hey, who the fuck let Dunkelman in? And there's Brian Dunkelman, like over in the corner. He was the 3rd most famous guy at the party. So it was Harrison Ford, David Spade, Brian Dunkelman, and then us.
It was just the 5 of you. It was like,
yes. No, we were like, Harrison, what are you, 70? Take the earring out. What's wrong with you?
I never understood the thing with him and the earring. I mean, he looks really good for his age.
Sure.
But then you like see that little earring, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Next thing you know, there's gonna be like a thing in his teeth, like a grill,
like a little diamond,
a gold grill.
Yeah. And then Harrison comes in a do-rag, his pants are down halfway down his hips. He's wearing FUBU shit.
Damon John is like, you look good, man. You look good.
Harrison walks in, he's like,
he's got the pants on the ground. He's, even Chewbacca's like, I know what it looks like. Stop bothering me.
I don't care what you smell.
Chewbacca's saying there's like a skid mark in your pants, but it's 4 feet down.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, everyone in the chat, I'd love to say hello. Why don't you give me a highlight quick and just say something in the chat, highlight, so I could See who's here. Let's do a little roll call. Say hi to everyone. Johnny, you'll have to do Facebook. I don't have a Facebook feed in front of me.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we got 91 watching.
That's a lot of people right off the bat. That's nice.
Right off the bat. It's
Very
good
cool.
to see everyone. Let's see. We got John Biel, of course, Matthew Stewart, Vistalite 1972, Brendan Buttcheeks, John Windsor, Linny Lou, Mr. BHB Jr., Bry the Sign Guy, Hugh Caldwell. And that's who so far highlight their name in the past few seconds. Here we go.
What's up, Chris Bevan?
802 Blues, Mark Dillon, Steve Carmichael. Johnny, no response to that?
Steve Carmichael.
Oh, there you go. You got to kind of do it with me there. Let's try it again. Steve Carmichael.
Michael.
Paul, no?
I don't get the reference, so you know.
Steve
I'm still new to
Carmichael
the
is
program.
one of those names we just kind of reflect off each other. We all kind of say it.
Steve Carmichael?
There
Yeah.
we go. Now we can go.
That goes back years from
Yeah.
doing these shows. There's just certain names I would read, and I'd read them a certain way, and it would just stick.
And I keep
And
doing
he's one
that
of them.
'cause I
He's
just
one of
love
them.
certain names. Let's see. Jim Nicholas in Mancuda Vision. You betcha. My dick is right here. It looks bigger that way. Dwight Bailey, Chris Bevan, Nightbot in the house, David Scher, Pork Chop SRV, John Windsor, Headstock Harem, my buddy Thrash Melon, Fun Riffs, Jay Hannon of Gizmachi fame, who happens to have a new song on Instagram, if you haven't checked that out. Robbie Johnson, yes, boss, I get it. Hal Face, Jimmy Carr,
Jimmy Carr.
Ron
It'd be great
John.
if that were Jimmy Carr, like the comedian Jimmy Carr. That'd be
That is the
fucking awesome.
comedian Jimmy Carr.
It would be great if it were.
That sure would be.
Yeah, that would make this show much funnier.
Mancuda needs a raise in the house. Thank you. Kevin Cochell, Thomas Santiago, David Scher, who sends me the best videos, Hugh Caldwell, Michael James. Let's see. Thomas Santiago, I read. Fruitcake Tony, sporting those emojis. Very cool. Sandra Pocconi. 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 Me love you long time. Dan Halen. Let's see. Who else we got? And everyone else.
Everybody.
Everybody. Welcome.
Ned's here. Ned's
Ned
right
the
here.
cat.
That's whenever somebody does when you do a roll call in the chat, I always think of Romper Room from when we were kids. Remember that? They would like,
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking Miss Molly, who had those giant hooters. She brings up the
and
mirror that had no mirror, and she's looking
Yeah.
through the camera. Romper bumper, stomper do. Show me who. I see Millie and Michael and Jacob and Tyrone and Allison. And you'd be like sitting there like, see me. Here I am, bitch. Here I am. And then she wouldn't call you. And you'd be like, what are you, fucking stoned? I'm right fucking here, Miss Molly. I'm right here.
I don't
sorry.
I don't mean to be disagreeable, but I'm fairly certain Miss Molly never saw Tyrone.
Actually, she
Not a-
did.
Didn't she read off just
Dated him.
the most generic
Most
names
generic
that
white bread
everybody
names.
has?
It was like
Yeah,
Billy
it was always
and
like-
Billy and Sally and Jimmy and Michael and David and Donald.
Yeah.
Mary
She
Ellen,
wanted to
Mary
hedge her
Beth.
bets.
Yeah, there was never I see Herschel and Shaniqua. Like that never happened. She was
I
whiter
see
than- Miss
Leroy
Molly was whiter
and
than Sarah
Jaime
herself.
and
That
Payne.
never- Yeah, you never saw Miss Molly go romper stomper romp, and I see Moisha. Like that was that never happened.
I see Ping and Rolo.
Of course, years later, she'd be like, I see Cinnamon and Desiree and Amber.
Jesus Christ. I don't understand what the hell. It's like Miss and think about this. Do you remember the big bee, the guy in the bee costume running around the show all the time? The bee's name was Doobie.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Doobie.
Doobie.
you and I
Doobie.
both know, like the old cartoons and shit like that. They were sneaking stuff by us, like subliminally, like when
Oh,
Bugs
yeah.
Bunny would come out of his hole and he'd be like hung over, and you're like, what the hell is he doing? I'll never mix carrot juice again. You're like, what is he talking about? Oh, my head. And you're like, what 9-year-old understands what the hell's going on? Meanwhile, the adults are like, oh, I'm with you, Bugs. I get it.
It was still funny.
It was the best because you had like they were all like doing those little inside jokes. You'd have Bugs like, well, I can't wait to come in your hole to another rabbit,
Which, by the way, explained why rabbits bred so much. You're like, well, of course they do. Bugs Bunny was coming in their hole constantly. Like he was always in their hole. Like Bugs Bunny was in every hole.
You notice you never saw Elmer Fudd walking through the forest with a shotgun and like 3 dead rabbits in his hand. Like,
yes.
Oh, I'm not after you today, Wabbit. I got a few.
Yeah.
It was just him. It was always him.
Worst hunter ever. Never had a bag or anything to keep his catch. It was just him. And by the way, that was the first time I ever got was dismayed by the fact that a double barrel shotgun doesn't have unlimited ammo. Like, how many rounds was he getting off while shooting at Daffy Duck? He'd be like, I was like, pew, 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 pew. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's a double barrel shotgun. It's a single shot. You got to open up, you got to reload, and you got to close the thing up and stuff. I was just so disappointed when I was like 13, got my first shotgun. I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. What do you mean there's only 2 shots? This is bullshit.
And I guess it was like his parents must have been stormtroopers because he was like, the rabbit's right in front of you. You have a double-barreled shotgun with a wide spread of 12 gauge. You can't fucking hit him at 3 feet away. Whoa, Wabbit, where are you going, Wabbit?
And I mean, I don't know about you, but then Daffy would take a shotgun blast full to the face, and all that would happen was his Duck Bill would be around. I'm like, didn't anybody see this Zapruder film? This is not going to end well.
Oh,
what do you have to do to kill these creatures? It's like, you can dismember them and they're crawling back to life and their bodies are coming back. They blow up. They fall off of fucking mile-high cliffs. What do you do to kill a coyote these days?
It was impossible to kill them. Meanwhile, all the adults were worried about the 3 Stooges. Like, oh yeah, we don't want people hitting anybody in the head with a monkey wrench. Are you shitting me? Fucking Wile E. Coyote just took a stick of dynamite in his asshole.
You never saw Tipper Gore go, we're very worried about this Wile E. Coyote problem. He's always with giant magnets filled with explosives, sending them at the Roadrunner with metallic bird seed up his chute. You never saw that. They're always like, well, we're worried about someone committing suicide because Ozzy sings a song.
Right. Yeah, Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam are shooting anything with a heartbeat. But Ozzy
don't worry about your kids putting a gun in their mouth or something.
Right. Oh, do you remember there was one where I don't know if it was Tweety. I think it was Tweety where something happened. And in the end, you see Tweety take a revolver and he puts the gun to his head. And then there's the window and all the feathers come out. And that was the end. Like, I was like, all right, Tweety.
Finally.
Oh.
And Sylvester's like, bitch.
I hated Tweety. Tweety was maybe my least favorite character in all of cartoons. Hated Tweety.
I always wondered, you always had Daffy Duck going to like bother Porky Pig, and Daffy was always a bum or something. Porky always had a big, beautiful home and a motor car and a boat, and Daffy would like, where did Porky get all this money? I never saw him working. Was Porky a pimp? Was he Porky Pimp? And come here, you you whore! Give me your the box. You suck those cabinet dicks. Don't make me slap it, beat your ass.
Those ones, Porky Pig was my second least favorite. Those like anytime I saw Foghorn Leghorn, I'm like, I'm in. I'm like, because Foghorn Leghorn to me was the David Lee Roth of cartoons. It was like Foghorn was great because Foghorn didn't really have a purpose. He just wanted to fuck with that dog.
Well, he wanted a sugar mama.
Yes.
Hello, Miss Christy. I know you're 90 years old and look like a scrawny shit, but I would love to sleep in your home. I'll even deal with this boy of yours.
That was the thing. Foghorn was the ultimate like couch surfer. He had no purpose whatsoever. He's like, I say, here's what I'm looking for: a free meal and a piece of tail. Nice girl, but I bet she queefs sawdust. I've learned the rules of this show. I've learned. It took me a week to figure it out.
It's not hard, man. It's not hard.
That's what she said.
Oh.
Whoa.
Unfortunately, too many women have said that to me. Hey, real quick, I want to give a shout out to a couple people joining the chat. Colleen Gray, Connor Johnson, 5150, Wolverine, Eduardo Moreno Porto, Linny Lou and Mary. Let's see. Ben Tom, Metal Soda. Just a couple of names I happen to notice. Matthew Stewart coming in a little late. That's all good. We're just happy to have everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great to see everybody.
John B.L. said Elmer Fudd was a working man. Was he? What did Elmer Fudd do?
He was Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. He owned a mansion and a yacht.
I didn't know he was a millionaire.
I love that one where Bugs and Elmer switch roles through the hypnotist. So, I remember Bugs is like,
I am Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion and a yacht. Again. I am Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion and a yacht. Again.
And then, and then Bugs, Elmer's in a bunny costume, hopping around the fucking the
with the
forest,
bunny costume,
outwitting Bugs.
You got to wonder what Mel Blanc's alcohol level was. Like, I wonder if he just went to the studio and went, all right, took the bottle, popped the cork, all right, what are we doing tonight? All right, let's just fucking, and he just give me the lines. Just give me the lines. Just give me what I need to do here. Like, you got to wonder if at any time, like, Mel Blanc would like call in for friends.
Yeah, he's going to be unable to come to work today. Yeah.
This is the little fella's mother. He's so sick.
Allow me to introduce myself.
Those are the best, those cartoons.
Oh, the Warner Brothers.
They were made for adults, and kids were just like, oh, that's cool.
Ones. There was nothing else like those.
The adults were hungover on Saturday morning. They were just sitting at the breakfast table while the kids were like totally glued to the television. Give me sugary cereal and cartoons, and I'm ready to go. The adults would be like drinking their coffee, going, "You're gonna, like 10 years from now, you're gonna love that joke."
Yosemite Sam. Oh, there's a bump on the pecker. Huh? When you're a teenager, son. When you're a teenager.
Shut up, you idiot. That's what you'll be calling your mom soon. Don't worry about it. It's all good. I mean, the amount of
it all the time.
The amount of domestic violence and the rapiness. Like, remember the one where Bug sends Wile E. Coyote, the exploding female coyote, with like the wires and all that stuff, and he grabs it. My darling, soon how would you know that you would marry a genius?
The best one that you want to talk about rape culture, Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah,
it's like the Me Too movement should have been called the Me Pew movement. It was like, le femme is skunk. She's like, I just want to go shopping, man. I don't want no trouble. Come here. Grab your titties. Slap your little skunk ass. What
that had to be
fuck?
Dumbest cat ever. And by the way, I just would like to point out, why is every fucking painter in France so lazy with their white paint? I mean,
Why
that fucking
is that
paint was
cat
everywhere.
always around painters? You think she'd learn? Hey, don't go near any painting areas. You're gonna get raped. Get away.
White paint is the universal sign in France for rape.
She has the white paint on the back of her head.
Pew? Me? No.
No. Smell my balls, mon cher.
Oh,
See, no
God.
you. Yeah,
Now
he
that all
would shit in her mouth and do scat play, and he's like, "It no smell, we."
Oh my gosh, I don't
Jesus.
remember that one.
Yeah, welcome, iHeartRadio viewers, to your new wholesome family value entertainment. As long as your grandma was a prostitute and your kids are juvenile delinquents.
Tonight's Mancuda show brought to you by Nambla. Nambla.
Actually,
It's not really a choice.
Nambla, you're born with it. Why not? Speaking of banging children, Bang Energy Drink.
Oh,
One of our legit sponsors. Very happy to support us. Thank you, Bang Energy Drink. Once again, you've walked into a Nambla conversation. We love your product. Please try Bang.
Oh,
Yep. I don't know how many people are going for the Nambla market, but we've got it cornered.
Yeah, we're definitely the only broadcast in there.
That's the only time the words Nambla and broad will be used together.
You know, I actually saw a music question in the chat. I'm going to hit that. Let's see. Mr. Hellstorm 74 says, "Why is Chris Oliva so underrated? I put him up there with the greats of the 80s. The great Chris Oliva, rest in peace. The late guitarist of the band Savatage." I agree. You know, I was actually talking to a friend this morning about Savatage from their early albums, which was more of a power metal thing, you know, Fight for the Rock, and up to Hall the Mountain King, where they started making a little more of a transition. And then when you got to Gutter Ballet and Streets, now you were like mixing in with the orchestra, and you were mixing in with piano, more piano play than just power metal of the early albums. And, you know, Chris Oliva, I think, was absolutely amazing. I've always said on the show that he was a great guitarist. And, you know, Savatage and Trans-Siberian Orchestra, their further version of it, their alter ego, if you will. I always said Savatage was an amazing band, even after Chris passed away. But yeah, my favorite albums are the Chris Oliva records. I agree. Paul?
Interesting thing about Savatage for me is they did sort of the anti thing that what Riot did, where Riot started out as a hard rock band and became a power metal band. Savatage started off as a great power metal band, and then saw that Queensryche broke through as a prog metal band and went, hey, there's dollars in that there hill, and tried to sort of switch over to do that. Did both of them very well, but there's a discernible change right around Hall of the Mountain King, where they go from being more power metal, and then they become a little more proggy and a little bit more orchestrated, like you said, and symphonic in their presentation. But there was like that right around 1987, 88. There was a switch.
Like right away. It started with, I mean, Hall the Mountain King, that song, you could say, okay, that went from more power metal to kind of reaching for the MTV crowd, and they did a cool video for it, you know? And then at that point, then you got into Gutter Ballet, and Gutter Ballet itself was like right up there with Queensryche and Streets. I mean, you're talking a concept album. Queensryche had Operation Mindcrime, and Savatage had Streets.
And Halloween really had Keeper of the Seven Keys. Right around the same time. They were all of those sort of power prog metal bands were all like, okay, let's put out our version of Mindcrime, because Mindcrime was a huge surprise. Nobody thought Mindcrime was going to pop, because Rage for Order was a piece of shit in comparison to what had come before it. And people were like, what are they doing? They get the Bride of Frankenstein look. I don't get these songs. They've gone a little bit off the deep end. And all of a sudden, Mindcrime becomes this big deal. Every band that had anything in common with what Queensryche was doing at the time were like, aha. And this is, we know this all the time. They've got the creed. It's called the creed of the week mentality, which is if one is good, seven is better. And some of those bands broke through, and then some of them just got sort of pushed by the wayside. And I think Savatage and Fate's Warning and a couple of those other bands,
Dream Theater,
Fifth Angel, a couple of those bands just sort of came in, got lumped into the same pile. It's amazing how Savatage were able to redefine themselves as TSO and sell millions of records every holiday season versus, 100,000, 200,000 records when they were Savatage.
Oh yeah. And keep in mind, when you had, and I kind of disagree on Rage for Order. I mean, I agree with you on the look, that whole Bride of Frankenstein makeup thing. I was even looking like, and this was the hair metal days. So I was like, what's kind of with that? That's kind of like a little off, I wasn't thrilled.
But after
with
the Warning, it wasn't the same.
But I thought
the
Rage
Warning had so much
was still
promise.
a good album.
Yeah, I understand, but you're comparing it. It's unfair to compare it to the EP, then the Warning, and then you're like, well, Rage for Order is kind of, it was a letdown after what, and again, the look didn't help.
I mean, you can't compare like I Dream in Infrared, which was on Rage, to Take Hold of the Flame.
No,
but it was like, it was still a good Queensryche album. I thought everyone was kind of on, But I mean, make no mistake, I picked up Mindcrime, not reading any reviews or anything. I was just like, oh, Queensryche, I like them, new album, boink. And I got home, and I'm that guy that sits there, the first listen with the CD, looking and reading the lyrics in the liner notes as we go on. And once it started, I was like, what's this? And from there, it was just like, it's one of my favorite albums to this day.
When I first heard Queensryche, I thought, oh my God, this is like Maiden, but with a better singer. Because at the time when the first Queensryche EP came out, remember, Dickinson had just joined Maiden, and they had just put out Peace of Mind. Really, it was second record with Maiden. And you said to yourself, well, how can anybody get better than this guy? And then you heard Jeff Tate and went, oh, that's how somebody can get better than this guy. Little did we know how great Dickinson was at the time, but it was like everybody was coming out of the gate with their first opportunity to make a first impression with people. And the first time I heard Jeff Tate, I was like, well, nobody's ever going to be better than that. No one's ever going to be able to sing that kind of operatic. It was like Freddie Mercury in metal.
Oh, yeah. When I first saw that first video for Queen of the Reich, it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That was like a really big deal,
Queen, and I
Queen
think that hurt.
was like that final note that, Queen of the Reich, I was like, who's this cat? And it was just so good.
But I think that hurt.
Take Hold of the Flame, the next album. That's like, then he's doing better.
And I think that hurt bands like Savatage and Fate's Warning and some of those other bands because they didn't have that. They didn't have that extra thing that went over. When you're comparing a metal band to, and we all have this habit to do that, when you're comparing a metal band that has a certain style, like a power metal band or a prog metal band or everything, and you say to yourself, well, what's the measuring stick against which all others will be measured? You start hearing Take Hold of the Flame. You start hearing Gods of Wrath from Metal Church. You start hearing some of these amazing songs and you go, well, it's not that good. Like, meanwhile, that's not fair because those songs are exemplary. Those are examples of how good it can be. And we unfairly match some of these other bands next to them and go, well, it's not as good as that. And so it's not good. And that's not fair at all. It was an unfair comparison to all of those bands.
And then speaking of that Jeff Tate like vocals, and mind you, I like Iron Maiden a lot. I always thought Jeff's vocals were better. Just saying, personal opinion, of course. But you had Todd LaTorre in Crimson Glory, and when you listen to Crimson Glory's early albums, you're like, this guy is like a mirror of Jeff Tate.
Well, yeah,
but
Crimson Glory doesn't get a record deal without Queensryche happening. Like, that's the thing. Every label wanted their version of a certain band. Like, every label wanted their Motley Crue. Every label wanted their Van Halen, their Rat, whatever label you want to mention. Mm-hmm. They had their version of the band. And when Queensryche happened, Queensryche happens after Maiden. They're like, oh, here's an American band that has a little bit of that feel, that sort of galloping, Renaissance, almost Baroque sound to their music, and an amazing operatic lead singer. So now everybody has to have that, and then just like when nu metal happened, everybody had to have the Cookie Monster singer. There had to be, everybody was their Pantera. Everybody was their Metallica, or everybody, and that's how some of the great bands like Testament got noticed, because Testament doesn't get a record deal if Metallica doesn't happen first. Crimson Glory doesn't happen if Queensryche doesn't happen first. And that's a good thing because one band opens the door and then a bunch of them come through. Unfortunately, you get the flood. And we've talked about this ad nauseum over the weeks. You get that flood of bands. Of the 50 that come through, 15 are worth of shit. The other 35 are garbage. And
by 1992, you had 50 new CDs coming out a week from these cookie cutter. And you didn't notice that Winger came out with Pull.
Right. Or Wrathchild America came out with Climbing the Walls. You get these bands that slipped under the radar because we were too busy. I mean, it was just too much at one time. And the suck part is a band like Sabotage, a band like Fate's Warning, a band like Fifth Angel. I mean, we can go down the list of all those sort of power metal bands and prog metal bands that get sort of ignored. There was only room for one. You know, like Voivod never happens because there's only room for one. And then, of course, Queensryche goes from The Lady Wore Black and Queen of the Reich and you know, I Dream in Infrared and all that shit to Silent Lucidity. And oh, well, here's where the money is. Now everybody has to have that. You know, Fate's Warning does Through Different Eyes. You know, everybody does their version of the most commercial song they can come up with.
Oh yeah, and again, you take a band like Motley Crue, and you notice every day on MTV the power ballad "Home Sweet Home," which I love. You know, I love the music. I love the video. I love that one girl that takes off her top almost. You know, I mean, I noticed that, and obviously so did every record producer, because they're like, you got to have a power ballad. Every album, you have to have a power ballad. It's going to be the 6th song or the 8th song, but you got to have a power ballad. And I love it.
And it ruined Extreme. Like
which one was theirs?
Well, it was More Than Words.
Because of More Than Words?
Oh,
More
yeah,
Than
yeah,
Words.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it paid for everybody's houses for the next 20 years, but it was totally unrepresentative of the band. You know, a lot of these power ballads were unrepresentative of the band. It was like this great moment, and then you went, well, you forgot how good this band, like Fly High Michelle was not a good representation of what Enough is Enough was.
I love that song, man.
It's a great song, but it's not a representation of the band. You know, I remember seeing when VH1 was still sort of MTV Light.
Right.
And they were talking about More Than Words, and they said, look, this is not like this, the rest of this band. This is a hard rock band. They actually had a disclaimer before they showed the video, which was strange to me that they had to identify that this is out of character for the band.
Well,
that's really funny. It's like a PMRC label on the video. Warning: this video is not raunchy as the band normally is. It's wholesome entertainment. You're like, ah.
Well, that's why it was cooler when you bought some of those records, because you'd buy it for the single, you know, or the ballad or whatever, and then like you'd realize, oh, this band is actually really, really good. You know, the album would turn out way better than you thought it would have been. You know, because you thought maybe it'd be all that one type of stuff when it was in fact more.
Well, it's true.
And it's weird because somebody brings up More Than Words wasn't a power ballad. No, it wasn't, but it was certainly something that was unrepresentative, and that got them on. It was thrown in there with the monster ballads. It was thrown in there with the Home Sweet Homes and the Alone Agains, and you know, the Headed for a Heartbreaks and all those records. It was thrown in with all of those things and unrepresentative of the rest of the band. And by the way, a good power. I mean, I Hate Kissing You Goodbye from Tough, fantastic song. Probably
from which
the
one?
best thing. I Hate Kissing You Goodbye from Tough.
I love that song.
It's a great song. And that's the thing. Some of those bands, that the power ballad was the best thing they ever wrote.
Yeah.
Because it's so formulaic. I mean, it's unfair that Mr. Big is only known for To Be With You.
I would look for, and again, this is by the time it got formula, you knew the first song was probably a good intro, but not the best song there. Then you do the second one, which was getting a little better. Third song was the single. Then fifth song or last one on the cassette was the other single. Flip it to number 6. That's another single. And then your ballad was usually 8, maybe 9.
Yeah, it was like record opener was Up Tempo and Balls Out, followed by somewhat of a mid-tempo song. Third song, there's the single. Fourth song was The Chaser. That was usually like, if the single was like a stomp and beat, you know, a 4/4 stomp and beat anthem, then the song behind it was either Get Up from Van Halen, something that was really fast to show that we're not a pop band, we still rock. Side 2 would start off with big anthemic song. Then there'd be the other song. The 8th song, 7th or 8th song was Tender Ballad Moment. And then on the backside of that song was the most ripping song on the album to prove they're not pussies. It was
just like with that impression.
Yeah.
Oh, you had to open and close with something rocking.
Right.
No, listen, I love power ballads. I mean, Alone Again was probably one of the first ones, Dawkins' Alone Again, because it was so early on. That was on their first. Wait, no, was that their second album? That was Tooth and Nail, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Tooth and Nail.
Still very early for a power ballad.
Sure, yeah. No, you're talking 1984. You know?
Yeah, and every breakup I had, I turned that on. I'd be like, I'm alone again without you. Thank you, Don. Yeah,
Michael Smith, are you in
I
here?
wanted me to jump off the roof more, but it was really good.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. Is you would get
In
these
the
great
chat, I'm
songs.
looking, huh?
You would get this great song. It'd be this fantastic, fantastic ballad. It'd be well produced. You know, Michael Wagner or somebody will have put together this amazing sonic template, and then the singer would come in and be like, "I'm off key." You're like, "Ah, shit! Damn it! Damn it! I was looking for Steve Perry. You gave me Stevie Rochelle. God damn it!"
For fuck's sake, you gave me Steve Vai. Jesus.
Rescue me or bury me. Take 4.
I'm looking in the chat. Halface says Empire was the biggest letdown in my musical fan life. Everybody dug it, but I couldn't stand it. Dude, that title track was rocking.
I think
Come
Best
on,
I Can is a
Empire.
fantastic song.
That was a great album. I mean, to follow Mindcrime with an album, while slightly different, but right up there with it. I don't know where you didn't like it.
I thought Best I Can was a fantastic opening track to follow up a record like Mindcrime. Because you know what I do think
perfectly.
I think it was a great progression. And then of course, you know, Silent Lucidity wasn't originally intended as like a ballad. It was intended like a Comfortably Numb from Pink Floyd. That was that was sort of the intention of it. It was that it wasn't supposed to be a romantic song. It wasn't supposed to be, you know, Ladies' Choice, All Skate. It was not supposed to be that song.
Neither was Every Breath You Take. And
right.
that turned into one of those. You know?
I love that. Oh my God. What do you want to use for a wedding song? How about Every Breath You Take? You know it's about stalking somebody and killing them, right? No, it's not. It's really romantic. It was another one of those from the late 90s, early 2000s. Hinder's Lips of an Angel. Oh my God. That's our song. You know, it's about a guy talking to his side piece, right? While his girlfriend's in the other room. You know what that is, right? You dummy.
I just love that. Yeah, it's like, I don't even remember the words to the. I just remember it was about a guy cheating and lamenting about his wife. It's like,
yeah. By the here's a great one. You talked about the Police, Johnny. How about do da da da? All right. The lyric is, when her eloquence escapes you, her logic ties you up and rapes you. What the fuck?
There's your wedding song, baby.
You know what your response is? Do da da da. Your logic ties you up and rapes you. Do da da da.
That was my favorite song, Shelly.
Yeah,
Pepe Le Pew's playing it.
Pepe Le Pew's Spotify playlist.
Well, you know, everybody interprets lyrics a different way, you know.
There's
But
a lot of interpretation to the word rape.
But the songwriter definitely know what they're doing. But that's the cool thing about writing songs or being a songwriter is you can kind of put something out there, and even though you know it means something, everybody that hears it, they get a different idea of what they think.
Well,
what they think it's saying.
And to be fair, I mean, I'm not going to try to get inside of.
I mean, most songs, most stuff.
I'm not going to try to get inside of Sting's head, but my guess is he wasn't talking about literal rape. My guess is the logic tears you apart from inside. It was more of a poetic
violation.
Yeah, a violation, that kind of deal. It had nothing to do with sexual assault. Still, you know, in 2020, you look back at those lyrics and go, "Oh boy, what the hell?" But all of those things. You know, how about Ted Nugent getting away with "I made the pussy purr with a stroke of my hand." Nowadays, you couldn't play that on the radio. Like if that was a new song, you'd be like, "Oh no."
Well, right now we're in the over sensitivity zone. You know, it's like she's my cherry pie. Oh my God, you're talking about her vagina as dessert? That's disgusting. I was just talking about dessert.
I'll go against the grain. I hate that song. I think the only song that I ever liked that Warren ever wrote was fucking Uncle Tom's Cabin.
That was a great one.
I think Warren is one of the reasons why hair bands shit the bed.
See, I'm a big Warrant fan. I'm a big Winger fan. I mean, I like a lot of stuff.
I like Winger. I think Winger's better than Warrant. I didn't like Warrant. I didn't like Firehouse. I didn't like Danger Danger. There was like that group of bands that came at that point that I was like, oh no.
I love all those guys.
But they were the best. They were the best of the best, though.
They were
Naughty
the best.
Naughty was probably one of my all-time favorite songs by Danger Danger. Just putting that out there.
I will tell you, when I started to see the hairband thing start to circle the drain is when Jeff Paris's Saturday Night started getting played on MTV on Headbangers Ball. Remember that song? It's Saturday night, and it's all right. It's Saturday night. Join the party. Those were the only lyrics in the song. And Jeff Paris would go on and write amazing songs. He wrote for Mr. Big. He wrote CDFF from Mr. Big. He wrote for Vixen. He was a great songwriter. But when they gave him his own video, I was like, oh, we are now down to the last 3 people to be picked in kickball. This is not good.
it's the fat kid with glasses, the kid with the wooden leg, or the party guy song.
See, now Vista Light brings up Brittany Fox. I love Brittany Fox.
I love Brittany Fox. I think they got even better as they went on.
Yeah, I don't know why. I love Brittany Fox. I love Shotgun Messiah. I wanted to like Roxy Blue more than I do. You know, there was a couple of those bands that came out at the end. I felt like bands like Tora Tora got unfairly overlooked because they weren't interesting. Tora Tora, Tesla, Badlands, not interesting.
Hold on, let me stop you there. Tora Tora, I thought was overrated, but they came out later. Tesla came out kind of in the middle of the 80s. They were like 85, maybe
86.
Modern Day Cowboy was an incredible song. They didn't get overlooked. They got a lot of airplay.
No, they should have been up there with Appetite. They should have been up there with the Whitesnake 87 record. The problem is, and it's not really a problem, it's actually a good thing because here they are 30 years later still playing. They weren't interesting. The guys in Tesla were t-shirts and jeans. There were no characters. There was no character in the band. All that was great about Tesla was they wrote great fucking music, which to me, by the way, is the best arbiter. If the songs are great, then who gives a shit? But they were surrounded by lesser bands, and I'll name them again. Danger Danger, I think, is lesser than Tesla. Bang Tango, I think, is lesser than Tesla. Firehouse, I think, is lesser than Tesla. I think those are, when you look at their catalogs, I think that the quality of music that Tesla put out is better than so many of their peers. They had the misfortune of being uninteresting. And again, I don't say that as a slam. I'm actually full disclosure. I'm really good friends with those guys, but they just didn't have whatever it was that it took that we talked about last week about that extra something that made people interested in the band.
I mean, look, I agree with you that the 3 bands you mentioned, Firehouse, Danger Danger, and who was the other one? Bang Tango?
Bang Tango.
Okay.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Let's take those 3. Okay. I agree that they weren't up to the level of Tesla. But with that said, I still really liked Bang Tango's albums. I still really liked Firehouse. And Danger Danger, I thought they could have been bigger than they were. They were like kind of Bon Jovi-ish, and I really liked that first album a lot. And I thought the second album was great too. I really liked Danger Danger.
I think that the thing with Danger Danger and all those bands that we just mentioned, Firehouse, Bank, they also came out with Soraya and Tough and Snatch and Vane and like all these other bands. That was that flood.
They were the last wave.
Yeah, there wasn't enough room at that point on the playlist because at that point you've got, Guns are putting out the Illusion records. Hollywood Vampires from LA Guns is coming out. Rats Detonator has come out. Now, bands that have already been established are taking up 80% of the playlist. So I've got, let's say, 3 songs or 3 videos I can add to MTV this week. Who am I going to add? Tesla, Danger Danger, Firehouse. I mean, who has the biggest promotional push behind them? So a lot of bands got cut. I loved Blue Murder.
I love Blue Murder.
Completely ignored outside of, Jelly Roll, which again, like More Than Words, not
Valley
representative of the band. Valley of the Kings is fantastic. It's a great record. And the second record was pretty good. Nothing But Trouble was a good album.
No, look, Blue Murder had no one knew what they were I played it. I was like, oh, John Sykes, and yeah, this is good. This is really good. But looking at it, I was like, oh, a new band. I didn't put together, oh, it's John Sykes from Whitesnake at the time. It's like,
yeah. And so Guitar Meets Science brings up Living Color, another great example of a band that people went, and should have been.
I've talked about Living Color, and I've said they're great. They would not be on the agenda if not for Sound Barrier. Sound Barrier broke that mold of you could be black guys playing heavy metal, and it works. Because the last black guy that everyone was thinking of is, okay, well, let's see, there's Jimi Hendrix. Do black guys play guitar? They rap, don't they? And then Sound Barrier comes out with a great album, and while it never hit big, people like me noticed, holy shit, this is really good. You know?
Rocky George from Suicidal Tendencies. People weren't ready for him either. I mean, if you think it was tough to be a black guy playing hairband music, imagine being a black guy playing skate punk music.
Oh, God.
But, between him and HR from Bad Brains and some of these other bands, you're just
Tony McAlpine.
Yeah. I mean, nobody was ready for that. Doug Pinnick, who is one of the most underrated vocalists of his era. And King's X, arguably Tube Supio. King's X, one of the most underrated bands of their era, should be a household name. Another example of a band that wasn't interesting. Fantastic songs, a lot like Tesla. Fantastic songs. Everybody that's in the know loves King's X. The general public.
John Beauvoir, for those that know who I'm talking.
Yeah, Plasmatics.
Drums Over the Mohawk, I thought was a great album.
Yeah.
Real quick, Halface asks, what's Winger's Pull? Winger's Pull was their third album that came out just as Beavis and Butthead came out and as hair metal was starting to fall.
Yeah.
And it's probably, I would say it's probably their best album.
It's their heaviest album by far.
It's really good. And I love Winger, really, really great stuff. Reb Beach is a monster player. Kip's a good writer. I mean, they got like the rawest deal ever because you had Metallica on one hand throwing darts at Kip Winger's photo. You had in the middle, you had Kip Winger posing in Playgirl. So everyone just thought he's a poser. And then you had Beavis and Butthead come out and the fat nerdy kid is wearing a Winger shirt. So it's like between those three, the record company just didn't get behind that album. They didn't even play the fucking thing.
Yeah, way better band than they've ever gotten credit for. If you ever want to think about a band that was vilified for being too good looking, like we
the John Mancuda Experience. That's another one.
We talk about it. The John Mancuda Briss, I think, is what we're going to call it.
I love a good Briss. You know what the problem with the Briss is? The
slicing of the penis.
Well, it's not just that. It's how much they take off. I don't mind like a haircut. I don't mind a little off the top. But my mother's sitting there with the moil. So is that the best price she could do? Look,
Yes.
lady, I'm not enjoying holding a kid and playing with his penis. I need to get paid well.
Well, that's the wrong religion for that.
Moils, I would like a discount. Fine, lady. I'll give you half off. Well, that's more like it. And he took it out on me, fucking half right off.
Guitar Meets Science brings up Vito, Bratta, and White Lion. Fantastic band, super underrated. Reb Beach and Vito Bratta should be household names. They're not. Vito's problem was, and we all know what it is, he sounded too much like Eddie Van Halen, both tonally
he looked like Eddie Van Halen.
and his style. Yeah, I mean, everything about him was, I always thought Vito looked like a combination of Richie Blackmore and Eddie Van Halen. Sort of that same, that disinterested. He was either disinterested or smiling.
Well, the biggest problem,
White Lion.
the biggest problem I had with a lot of those guitar players, and this goes to, what was it? Roxy Blue? Was that one of them?
Yeah.
Were they from Australia or somewhere?
No.
They were from, yeah. Anyway, a lot of those guys.
Rose Tattoo is Australian.
Okay, a lot of those guys, because I'm a huge Van Halen. I love Eddie Van Halen. He was.
You like Van Halen?
No.
I do. I actually do.
I thought it was a rumor.
No, well, it's that too. But no, the rumor is I like Van Hagar, but that's true as well. But no, I would see those videos on MTV, and any of the guys that kind of looked or acted like Eddie, I was immediately like, it turned me off. It was like there was already an Eddie. I don't need to be watching or listening to this because they're just posing.
Yeah, but you know what?
That's what that always did to me.
Vito brought something to the table that Eddie didn't. I thought that not Eddie didn't, that other Eddie clones didn't. Now, make no mistake about it. The two biggest Eddie clones in my mind were Vito and Steve Lynch from Autograph. Those two guys did so
Lynch
much.
took it up another step.
Yeah, but so much of this that was that once you saw a guy take his hand and bring it over here, that was Eddie's thing.
Eddie was musical when he did that.
Right.
Anybody else who did that, it was a trick.
It was see, I don't necessarily agree in the case of Vito Bratta. I think Vito Bratta, it started as a trick, and then because he had so many other things that he brought to the table, it became part of his repertoire. The unfortunate part about it is it was already part of somebody else's repertoire.
Maybe
so he was never going to get credit for it.
Maybe if he didn't try to look like Eddie, it would be different.
He tried. I think he would just came out of the vagina looking like Eddie. I mean, you know,
like Stanley. Was it Stanley Jordan?
Stanley Jordan
he played like the piano? He played the guitar completely like that.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, Stanley Jordan did the tapping almost like when I saw Steve Vai when he was in Alcatraz in the God Blessed video thing, when he did the tapping thing and he was sliding his fingers on the neck. I was like, well, at least there's a variation on it. Like it was a different sound. Stanley Jordan, same thing. Stanley Jordan took that right hand over and then he played the guitar like it was a keyboard. Right. And it had a unique sound. Like, Stanley Jordan when he's playing. So he took that technique and made it his own. I think Vito.
But also Stanley Jordan was a different type of music. It was a totally different type of thing, which I think is great.
Vito was, yes, I do too. I love Stanley Jordan. Vito was never going to get credit for being good because that part of his playing was so reminiscent of what Eddie did that you forget that his actual technique, his legato, his left hand legato, and the way that he was able to put phrasing together, and he wrote fantastic riffs and songs. I think White Lion's problem was the same thing that Winger's problem was Singer is way too good looking to take seriously.
I don't think that was really it. I didn't think Mike Tramp was as pretty a boy as Kip Winger. I thought he was like your average good looking singer.
Who'd you rather?
The two,
FMK.
What?
FMK.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to get my lips around that dick. No, I thought that everyone in general had some influence by Eddie Van Halen. You can't deny that in the 80s.
Everybody, not just Eddie, just Van Halen in general. David Lee Roth.
Ace
Every
Frehley.
band had a blonde singer and a brunette guitar player.
But just guitar-wise, you got someone sounding a lot influenced by Ace Frehley, someone sounding a lot influenced by Eddie Van Halen, someone sounding a lot influenced by, pick your guy, but Randy. But it was like, Vito happened to look more like Eddie than a lot of other guys that also did the tapping. And that was what really made you say, is that Eddie's brother or cousin, or he looks like him? That's really what put it over the edge.
But just the fact that Vito Bratta is mentioned as being so much like Eddie Van Halen as a player is a testament to his ability. There's a thing, is like Vito Bratta might be the second best guitar player of his era behind Eddie. You know what I mean?
Vito that far.
Yes, he's that good. He was that good as a player.
He's a monster player, but I put him on a level of like, Warren DeMartini or
I think he's better than DeMartini. I think he's better than
Reb
Lynch.
Beach.
I think he and Reb Beach are the other two great guitar players of their time. I don't think Reb Beach gets anywhere near the credit he should get. Same thing with Jason Becker. There's a small group, but I think the fact that the comparison of Vito Bratta so much to Eddie Van Halen should be looked upon as almost a badge of honor. The unfortunate part is that's all that people saw. They didn't see the other stuff. Like if you go and you listen to like War Song off of Main Attraction, I mean, Jesus, what a great record.
It's great, but
heavy as fuck.
I never saw him, and I'm probably in the minority here. I never saw Vito Bratta as stand out a guy for his guitar playing on those albums as much as when I listened to Randy Rhoads with Ozzy and Steve Vai with Pick Your Favorite and George Lynch with Dokken and Eddie with Van Halen. I never saw him as high as there. I thought he was in that second echelon of Warren DeMartini and Reb Beach, in that top level, but not the very top.
Yeah, I mean, I would respectfully disagree there. You know, somebody else brought up Paul Gilbert, another guy that should be mentioned as a household name, isn't. You know, those guys were phenomenal. The other thing about them is if you can write a song, it's one thing to be able to play. Yngwie can play. Tony McAlpine can play. Joey Tafola can play. Vinnie Moore can play. I don't know. I'll name Marty Friedman can play. Can any of them write a song? Vito wrote some fucking great songs.
Sure.
You know, I mean, those records, the unfortunate part, again, we go back to the more than words conversation, is When the Children Cry completely overshadowed the rest of everything that band did.
Beautiful song.
Fantastic song, not representative of how good and how much that band could rock. Again, same problem that Winger had. Way too good looking, looked fantastic on camera. I mean, even White Lion's cover of Radar Love is fantastic. Just really well done.
Yeah. You know who's the biggest fan of Yngwie Malmsteen, though?
Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yngwie Malmsteen. That's right.
It's his parents.
Or Joe Stump.
Yeah, it's Yngwie. It's Yngwie.
Yeah, it's definitely Yngwie.
God bless him.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you know, we've missed a whole bunch of comments in here. Yes, the band's the screen, fantastic.
Now, actually.
Yeah. Well, one thing, anybody who's leaving comments, you know, if you want us to get a question, you know, just
highlight.
You can highlight them. Keep saying them.
Yeah, Nuno Betancourt, another guy that should be mentioned alongside the greats of his time. Phenomenal player, has everything that I love about Eddie and his own style.
Nuno was the someone that was similar to Eddie. He was different enough to where it didn't, and he was out of that whole crowd of all those guys. To me, Eddie will always be, you know, number one, but anybody that kind of copied Eddie or took his thing, Nuno was one of the ones where different.
Nuno has the thing that the other guys don't have, and that is. And the thing that he copped the part of Eddie's playing that a lot of those guys didn't cop, and that is the rhythm, the right hand, the groove. Yeah,
the right hand.
Nuno has a groove that is unlike anybody else. That funk,
that's the word.
Yeah, the funk that he brings to his playing. He's
funky like my balls.
Soulful, and funky, and a huge Eddie fan, by the way. Grew up, and again, full disclosure, I grew up around those guys. Nuno was in a band called Sinful before he was in Extreme, and you could see back then how good he was. You knew that this guy was going to be something special, and he is. He's way more special than he gets credit for. I mean, hell, now he's Rihanna's guitar player. He goes and he tours with Rihanna and makes huge money.
Just like us.
Yeah.
Thrash Metal and Fun Riffs wants to know, why do you want to watch guys dressed as chicks singing about shallow issues? Let me tell you, Thrash Metal, why I want to watch guys dressed as chicks singing shallow issues. Here's a side-by-side comparison of 80s hair band metal.
There's a selfie, huh?
90s grunge. What the fuck is that?
That's Johnny without a beard.
That's me without a beard.
In a guitar sandwich.
Yeah.
Johnny's the pivot.
Johnny's the pivot. I've seen that image somewhere before. That Johnny Beane image. That. Oh my God.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
I don't know where this is going. Hey, Brian Spalding.
No. Oh shit. I didn't even realize that. I'll never get that out of my head now. Yeah.
So Thrash Metal and Fun Riffs, obviously a fan of
Thrash. No, Paul, we got to address this first. This is a problem. Johnny, I got something to admit to you, man. I mean, look, I'm a straight man and everything.
You are?
I am. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that if you're not. But speaking for myself, you know I've been very lonely here at the house. I'm in quarantine. I fucked Jello. I dated.
I heard about that.
I dated a girl, Angela. I've had a lot of ways to vary my masturbating to kind of get through this tough quarantine time of loneliness and sadness and depression. But look, you have needs. So I guess unconsciously, I went for the first human image I could find, and well, I made a fuck pillow.
Oh,
Of course you did.
Yeah. But there's more.
There's more?
Yeah.
we didn't even plan this. This wasn't even planned at all. Look at
I am
that.
so sorry, Johnny. It was the only human face. It was the only human face I saw in the
How
house.
is this even possible? Oh my gosh. You're the one that bought that shirt. Okay.
Zoom in on that screen, John. Yeah. It's,
Is that tell me that's not a sperm coming out of his mouth.
I'll tell you, but it you know.
Oh my gosh.
The you know, there was a hole, and I don't know. It just kind of worked, you know. It's
So that just happened.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of your face. I'm so sorry. I didn't have any other, you know. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, at least I got $1.25 for that.
Yeah. No, you know, my apologies, Johnny. I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Wow, that was the perfect segue to that, huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's almost like you planned it.
Yeah, that wasn't planned. Why would I plan that?
Well, you left
know?
the fucking shirt at my house, Johnny. So yeah, you planned it, you bastard. Making me look silly and all that. Amanda Coons, Guitar Meets Science, Guitarist Entertainment, 802 Blues, Reza Khan, Jimmy Biter, a lot of new faces in the chat. Welcome, everybody.
Thrash Metal and Fun Riffs is going to be one of those guys, and I say this respectfully, that's going to compare thrash metal and hair metal and say that hair metal bands don't matter and they're not full of substance because they didn't rock as hard and they weren't ugly and they didn't have bad acne and greasy hair and chug out at 1,000,000 miles an hour. That's fantastic. Just like with the hair bands, of all those thrash bands that came out, most of them were shit. The good ones are still around. The great ones, the big four, and actually they could be the big six if you want to throw Exodus and Testament in that group.
Definitely.
Yeah, Exodus, Testament. You know, there's another group of those people. I find the band Death incredibly. Yeah, I find the band Death incredibly overrated, but I know people love them, and that's fantastic. But those thrash bands, most of them weren't that good. Most of them, you know, couldn't write a song. One of the great things about Slayer is they are impossibly heavy and write great fucking songs. And when it's all said and done, I don't care how fast you play. If you can't write a song, it's no good. I love SOD. I think SOD is fucking outstanding. You know why I love SOD? Because Scott Ian can write a song. Scott Ian knows how to write riffs. Scott Ian is, you know, that's why I love Anthrax. Those thrash bands are great. Wrathchild America, great thrash band.
I got to disagree. I never took to Wrathchild America.
Really? Wow. And so then you didn't like Souls at Zero? Which is what Wrathchild became. You never liked
thrash
that.
I like, certain thrash I don't.
All
you
right.
know, the top six you mentioned, I'm
Right.
all in with those. Suffocation, I'm in with. You know, there's certain bands that I'm great with. Somebody asked in the chat earlier, what do you think of Cookie Monster vocals? I don't like Cookie Monster vocals. You know why? Because I think of fucking Cookie Monster. I don't want to hear, oh, me so horny, me want pussy, oh, me want macaroon, oh, yeah, me like heavy metal, oh, I make no mistake. There's certain ones that can get away with that. You know, you listen to Jay's band, Gizmachi, his vocalist has some range and he still does the Cookie, and they have the other guy doing a higher pitch to offset it. So it works. But when you just come in and I totally can't fucking understand a thing you're saying where it's like, it sounds like a barbarian having a convulsion. I can't get into it. I'm sorry. That's just me, though.
Lemmy is the godfather of Cookie Monster vocals.
It's Lemmy. He's awesome.
Lemmy is the god. He did it first. He did it best. I mean, obviously not to the growling level where he's indiscernible, but Lemmy, you know, is the guy. I can listen to him all day, all night long, and that's Cookie Monster vocals. Ace of Spades is a Cookie Monster vocal.
I disagree.
performance.
I think Lemmy just happened to be raspy, but like hearing him singing the Ace of Spades, the Ace of Spades, I was all in, man. I never had a point where I said that's Cookie Monster vocals. He's just deep and a little gravelly.
Yeah, that to me is the godfather of that. That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. I also liked a guy named Jim Little who was in a band called Rogue Male. If you've ever listened to Rogue Male,
No.
Irish band, put out a couple of records, band out of Northern Ireland, cool. And there's a newer band that does that sort of Motorhead style called Chrome Division. That's really good. That does it. Now I have 6 Feet Under's Graveyard Classics too, because they basically re-recorded AC/DC's Back in Black song for song. Fucking hilarious, great, but I can't listen to it over and over and over again. The Cookie Monster thing, it hurts my throat just to hear it, much less try it.
Yeah.
You know,
If I'm not able to discern the words, then I'm just not enjoying it, you know? Like I said, there's certain guys that can make it work, and I'm cool with that, you know? Depends on the guy.
Yeah. But thrash music is there's nothing wrong with thrash. You can like both. Like, I don't understand why certain guys. There's a great example. Corey Taylor from Slipknot and Stone Sour. Fantastic singer. Probably could be a big pop star if he wanted to. You know what I mean? He has that kind of voice. He's that good. So like Bother from Stone Sour is one of the best songs of its era. Didn't happen. Lejeune from Seven Dust, another great, phenomenal singer. Lejeune Witherspoon, phenomenal singer, can belt it out and has a very soulful voice. But
what
nobody cares.
What year was Seven Dust?
96, 97. That's when they first happened.
Late 90s. Yeah.
See, but that's that period that I just hate so badly because you had grunge. You had, and again, I was starting to say, here's your 80s metal, and I get that it got contrived, and I get that by 92, it was ready for a change. I get it. With that said, I thought grunge sucked, and I thought a lot of the bands that came out following in the 90s, I was not a fan of. A lot of them. Few exceptions, of course. But it's like
grunge is hilarious because it was a fucking generic term that was laid on bands that were not grunge. Soundgarden is a metal band. Alice in Chains is a metal band. Those two, to me, are the best of the big four of grunge. Soundgarden comes from Led Zeppelin. Alice in Chains comes from Sabbath and metal. Nirvana is, Nirvana may be the most overrated band in history.
Let me tell you something. Okay, so here you are, 1989. Okay, you're driving a Trans Am or an IROC. You got the T-tops down. You got the girly hair. You're wearing fun pirate shirt, leather pants, snakeskin boots. You got like 3 chicks in your car, tits out, hanging out in the T-top. Everyone's like, hey, let's go to the fucking club. Yeah. So you go to the club, you go to the Rainbow, and someone's playing at the Whiskey, and you're club hopping. You're hearing these great fucking metal acts. Hey, let's go to the bathroom, do cocaine off this chick's tits. Oh, wait, someone else is blowing me. Oh, this is great. I love the 80s. This is awesome. Hey, did you see that new album cover? Yeah, that new fucking band? Yeah, with the chick with the big tits and the sword and the wolf with the lasers coming out of his eyes. Oh, what a great album cover. Let's get that one. Yeah, hey. And then you fucking do so much liquor that you wake up in your room in the next morning and you have like, oh shit, there's a chick on my dick. Oh, and who's that chick? Okay. And then you have breakfast, you have a bowl of Captain Crunch with crunch berries mixed with Pop Rocks, wet down with a wine cooler. That was 80s metal. Then Nirvana comes out. Then all of a sudden, you're driving like a shitty fucking van. You're playing like a Fender Jaguar with duct tape on it. You're wearing a big, oversized, itchy sweater. You're looking at your feet. And you're in these stupid fucking worn-out tennis shoes. You look over to your right. There's your fat girlfriend with her stretch marks showing, waving at you. Oh, I got the stretch mark here. I can't wait to go home with you and talk about how depressed I am. Yeah, I'm depressed too. I'm really singing depressed. Let's go home and put guns in her mouth. Okay. And, Kurt Cobain did it and worked for him. Yeah, okay. By the way, I think I'm not pregnant because we don't have sex. Yeah, I don't want to have sex with you. I'm too depressed. Yeah, I'm depressed too. Then you have like oatmeal for breakfast and you look, hey, did you see that new album cover? Oh, Nirvana. Yeah, it's a young boy's penis on it. Oh, yeah, that's really depressing. I'm depressed too. That was the 90s grunge scene. It sucked. You ask why I want to see guys dressed as women and listen to those type of songs that are irrelevant, like blowjobs and cocaine and fast cars and let's all fuck each other. That's not irrelevant. That's living.
Yeah, I agree. And again, going back, the lifestyle of it, I think sucked. And there have been some people while you were on that fantastically eloquent diatribe. There were people that were trying to argue over whether or not Soundgarden was a grunge band. They're not. They come from Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. That's not grunge. The Melvins are a grunge band. Mudhoney is a grunge band. Those bands are grunge.
My father's name is Melvin.
Of course, it's Melvin Mancuda. Mel
Yeah,
Mancuda.
Mel. Of course I go home and I hear my mother. Mel. Oh God. I just want to kill myself.
Those bands that came at the end, by the way, and again, Soundgarden, the first band from Seattle to be signed on that whole grunge thing to a major label deal, they came out in the mid 80s. Soundgarden was a metal band that when the grunge thing became a label, Alice in Chains was a hair band. When the grunge thing became a label, they all jumped into flannel and Doc Martens and went, hey, let's ride that wave. Same way Aerosmith and Judas Priest started putting on feathers and shit in the 80s because it was the vehicle through which they could get famous. But Alice is not a grunge band. Soundgarden's not a grunge band. The Melvins and a bunch of those other bands that come out of that Seattle scene, absolutely. And there wouldn't be a Pearl Jam if Mother Love Bone, if Andy Wood could have kept his shit together, because that was a fantastic band that melded the 80s into the 90s. Mother Love Bone and Warrior Soul and Jane's Addiction were that in-between. Saigon Kick were that in-between group of bands that was the next logical progression. But unfortunately, Kurt Cobain had blonde hair and blue eyes and looked like he needed a hug, and somebody marketed him. But Nirvana gets all the credit in the world for what Jane's Addiction did 6 years before them. When Nothing Shocking and Louder Than Love came out, that was the next step away from the Pretty Boys that still rocked and still had great sounds. Unfortunately, it killed a lot of that scene because Doc Martens, the Doc Martens and the torn ripped jeans replaced the acid wash and the cowboy boot. It was all about the image. And the image was so anti what we had just seen, the poodle hair and the guys that were driving around with their shirts buttoned down to here and the girls and stuff. They had just been cocained out. We've been cocained and strippered out, and there needed to be something else. And unfortunately, the pendulum does this. And it was an overcorrection.
There is no getting strippered out. I'm sorry. I don't do drugs myself, but I'm sorry. I don't see strip clubs around my neighborhood closing here in Hollywood. I'm sorry. Man, I wish some guys would come in. Remember back in the 80s, we used to have guys coming in to see boobs. Oh, yeah, man. It sure dried up when Kurt Cobain came in. No, man.
Remember back a month ago.
2 words, day shift. Day shift. Don't tell me strip clubs can fail. I know that the Spearmint Rhino is nowhere near as good as Crazy Girls was.
Listen, Blue Rhino is nowhere as good as Crazy Girls. Yes, you are, actually you are. But by the way, we have a lot of people in the chat. Could you guys take 1 second and hit the like button and the subscribe button? Thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you. No, look, you can say bands like, I'll give you maybe Jane's Addiction being on the border, but I was never a fan. I was never really a fan of Soundgarden. I was definitely not a fan of Pearl Jam.
Oh.
The band's named after Jizz. It was named after Jizz.
I wasn't the biggest fan of those bands back in the day. Now I think they're amazing. I think they're all the best thing out of those years.
Well, what do you know?
Huh?
No, I just said, what do you know?
What?
No, look, we all like what we like. There's no wrong answer unless you like stuff I don't like.
Unless it's grunge.
I'm just saying that I never got into that borderline stuff. Again, at that time, I was watching Pantera make a switch from glam to hard rock, but they never went into that grunge level that I thought Pearl Jam transcended into.
Yeah, I think the bands that get the grunge label, the Big Four, the Pearl Jams, and even Stone Temple Pilots, who are not a grunge band, all those guys got labeled with that because they were the best and they needed to give it a label. I don't think any of those bands were really grunge. I think there's a huge difference between Pearl Jam and the Melvins and Sonic Youth and those other bands that were not the same. And the difference is they wrote great songs. Pearl Jam. The first two Pearl Jam albums are fucking stellar records.
Well, I mean, and any of those bands that were on the scene or that had fans that put out records, they wrote great songs to somebody because somebody was buying those albums.
Right.
But you're talking about like a certain level.
But then you got the next level of those guys, the Bushes of the world and these other bands.
I couldn't stand Bush in the day. I could not. I still can't stand.
I always thought they should shave it, but back in the 80s, it was usually a full afro down there, and full winter bush, But I mean, now they're all waxed and shaven. And that's good. It's gotten better.
I've always thought
that part of the scene has gotten better.
I've always thought that Offspring and Candlebox were the Danger and Bang Tango of their day. They were the next level of that I was done. By that point, I was like, all right, there's only room for enough.
I liked Offspring.
Offspring's more of a punk band. They were more
that's
punk
why I liked them.
Yeah. And
they weren't depressed. They were having fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Vinny 5150 is wrong. Grunge music did not kill hair metal. Bad hair metal killed hair metal.
Hey, Vinny.
It was time.
We could agree to disagree, kind of. Here's the thing. The timing was right for someone to step in and change the genre. It was already hanging on after the decade. And look, every decade, the music scene changes. That's just how we are as a people. We're fickle. Sure. Every decade has a representative music. The 80s had hair metal, but it was clinging on because it was so popular in culture into the early 90s. We were waiting for the next thing, and there was a glut of it, and it was blocking out a lot of good things like Winger's Pull, like Warrant's Dog Eat Dog, like, things like that. But with that said, grunge was just so far the opposite. Guys like me that loved hair metal hated grunge, just hated it.
Mm-hmm. There was nothing about it. There was no...
what's
the closest?
Nirvana's sounds like Teen Spirit tricked us. It sounded like it could have been kind of metal, but then it had something wrong with it. I couldn't put my finger on it. Maybe it was the baby's penis on the fucking album cover that should have tipped me off, or Kurt Cobain, looking at his shoes all the time. But I liked, that song Smell Like Teen Spirit. It had a really good riff, and I was like,
No. There was this band. I've said this before. When I was living at Desmond's, I was living at Desmond Child's house. We met with Mrs. Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi's mom and his brother, and
Mama Jovi.
Yeah. And they were telling us that there was this album. They played the song for us. I wish I could remember what it was, but there was some album that came out in the 80s, and it was produced or engineered by the same team or the same person who did Nirvana, and it had the same riff on that album
as what?
As Smells Like Teen Spirit. It was exactly the same. And I wish I could. John Biel, if somebody can figure out what that connection was, I would love to know, because I remember them telling me that, and I couldn't believe it.
And yeah, Metal Soda, I saw that Poison dig. And thank you, Brian. That's a nice compliment. Thank you, brother.
No, I think that there was a period there again where the Jane's giggity. were the Jane's Addictions and the Warrior Souls and the Saigon Kicks, and there was a sort of the Mother Love Bones that sort of fell through the cracks between. And I think that there's a half dozen of those bands that don't get anywhere near the recognition that they deserve. My dogs are going shithouse over here.
Nice. And hey, SD Design, welcome aboard. Pooh Ninja.
Hey.
So many people hopping in. Please leave a thumbs up if you're having a little fun. A little escape from the death watch of waiting Kim Jong-un to die.
Oh, that's happening, huh?
It sure is.
I don't know yet. But, the interesting thing about that is his...
Not that we'd wish it on anyone, but...
Yeah, but then his sister takes over. Kim Jong-kim.
Well, I'd rather
Lil'
have
Kim.
her than Yoko Ono.
Lil' Kim.
Little Kim.
The thing is, it doesn't matter if his sister takes over. She's still going to dress like Hillary Clinton.
He used to dress like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, it's the what is the Chinese peasant outfit is what they call that.
Except he had a phone receiver on his head. Every time I look at that fucking hairdo, it looked like someone hung up the phone on his forehead. Just looked like a phone receiver. Look at it. Go right now.
What's the phone?
After the show. Go look at a photo of Kim Jong-un and tell me you don't want to just like hear your phone ring and grab his hair and pull, hello.
Well, the sad part about it is he was going in for surgery for excessive smoking, bad dietary choices, and cardiovascular issues. Who'd have guessed those things would be the potential undoing of him looking at him? Just the picture of health. I mean, in comparison, Chris Farley was fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's the most ill-kept leader in the world because he's the only one in the country that can eat, and he certainly is eating enough for the country.
And his parents are not around because he's killed everybody around him.
Right, yes.
So like give him some authority of you've got to eat healthier. He's sitting there with a pint of Haagen-Dazs in one hand and a pint of lard in the other, and just alternating between the Crisco and the chocolate chip. And his sister's like, "You want your cigar lit? Yeah. Come on."
I'm your beneficiary, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and she's sitting there. Good news. I signed you up to the Pork of the Month Club. Oh, well, that sounds nice. What is it? Today's Pork of the Month package arrived. Here, you could just eat it raw. It's a delicious pork belly and honey sauce. Okay, just put some ice cream on it. No authority there other than him, and all he wanted to do was eat, shoot people that told him to do something he didn't like, and smoke.
Well, if you know anything about the legend of Kim Jong-un, he apparently drove himself to the hospital, performed his own surgery, died, came back, saved himself, and if he doesn't live, he's going to have every doctor killed.
Shot.
Yeah, he'll have every doctor that killed him. It'll be written in his will. By the way, the first thing you need to do, Lil' Kim, is to kill the doctors that killed me. She's like, kill them? I'm going to blow every one of them.
She's like, I've been so horny for years. He wouldn't let anyone in the palace but women.
So we're not wishing to, what we're saying is get well, Kim.
Yes. Kim Jong-un, if you're watching the broadcast tonight, please, we wish you the best intentions. Jesus Christ. Let's see what's going on in the chat.
Yeah. I'm going to go check on the dogs. They're too quiet. That's never good. Be right back.
All right.
Johnny can get a word in now.
There you go.
Finally.
Let me shut off my mic and Johnny can talk.
What are you guys doing?
And yes, Lexi, just FYI, yes, we're not making light of suicide. It was just kind of a grunge thing. So absolutely, I'm gonna even give a PSA right now because I know all about depression. If you're going through depression, especially in these quarantine times, call a friend, message me. I'd rather you message me if you're depressed on Facebook. Go to Jonathan Mancuda, and I would rather you message me and talk it out because I know about depression. And suicide's not an answer. So let's give a PSA just to touch on that for Lexi Zipkin. There you go. With that said, that is how we lost Kurt Cobain, and it all turned out okay. But don't you do it. It was just for grunge. Okay. Speaking of which, now's a good time to say, hey, Bang Energy Drink, our sponsor. We're very happy that you support the show.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Um,
Think of something quickly. Right now, the FCC is typing a letter. And Swiss Picks, brought to you by Swiss Picks, another of our great sponsors. They are fucking terrific. And by the way, I'll just say right now, a little later in the show, I have brought a really, really cool celebrity guitar for today's Tuesday show and tell. So get ready. This is a really cool one from a monster guitar player. You're going to dig this. This guitar has been around.
nice.
Like my penis in the 80s.
Wow. So was there any, like you were talking about, like grunge just like it just ended, you know? Like that, like there was no, did the party just stop like for you?
I think grunge just kind of faded out. What do you think, Paul?
I think
Grunge kind of got mixed in with rap and like a bunch of other stuff. It just kind of dissipated, right?
Well, they all died.
But like all at once, like they all kind of drifted away. You saw less and less and less. It wasn't like metal where it was like flick a switch and heavy metal's gone.
Well, it did. It got replaced by new metal. When grunge happened, like 2 years later, the next musical movement was new metal. You got Korn and Limp Bizkit, and even though I don't consider them a new metal band, Rage Against the Machine and all of that sort of rap rock thing, Linkin Park, grunge was really short-lived. It was a huge moment, and there were only 5 bands that were really worth the shit. The big 4 that we talk about in Stone Temple Pilots, and maybe Candlebox to a lesser degree. But then almost immediately, like we talked about every 10 years, grunge only lasted from like 1990 to 1995. At that point, all of a sudden, we got Limp Bizkit and Korn and the next wave of that stuff. So I think it really got sort of overpowered by something that, quite frankly, was more interesting. Rap rock was way more interesting because it combined the urban element of hip hop for white suburban kids. It was metal and rap, which were the 2 most rebellious forms of music at the time. And it allowed everybody to bounce. I mean,
It was win-win.
Yeah, that's really what it's all about, is if you can get the crowd to move and bang their head at the same time, that's a win. So I think whether it's good or bad is really, it's moot at this point. But I think rap rock immediately just steamrolled grunge, because grunge was down and sort of depressing, and Black Sabbath and the Doors.
It brought it. If you think about it, the rap rock actually kind of brought the grunge back up to like an 80s like rock level.
Cool.
Maybe not musically so much, but as far as energy or like the you know what I mean? Like the party.
Say what you want.
It added party to it.
Say what you want about him. As big an asshole as Fred Durst is, Limp Bizkit was the most fun band of their time.
I loved him.
It was a party. It was I own everything Limp Bizkit does. He's a douchebag as a human being, but then so's Vince Neil. Those Limp Bizkit records are fucking awesome. Break Stuff is a fantastic song. Nookie is a fantastic song. When you went to Summer Sanitarium and you watched Metallica doing their thing, and by the way, Metallica was doing Saint Anger at that point, so who gives a shit? When Limp Bizkit was on stage that night, Limp Bizkit and Kid Rock were the bands that everybody loved. Devil Without a Cause was the fucking biggest party record of its time. Rap rock just steamrolled grunge. Grunge never knew what hit them, which might be a good thing, because at that point, did you want to see any form of music die out the way that hair bands did and become sort of a parody of themselves?
No.
Rap rock crushed it. And whether or not that's good is irrelevant. It happened.
No, I dug Limp Bizkit, and there was another band like them. I'm trying to think of the name. Not coming up with it. Name another band in that genre like Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit?
That was it. It was just one band. One band. Save music.
No, it was Korn, it was Limp Bizkit, it was Kid Rock. Seven Dust was considered a rap rock band, even though they're not.
There's another one. I'm trying to think. I can't think of the name. I can't think of it.
Ask the
Stuck
chat.
Mojo.
Ask the chat.
Lincoln
The chat
Park.
Hold on,
always
I already
know.
have to hit a question in the chat.
They always know.
Real quick, with the chat,
311,
There you go, Papa Roach.
Papa Roach.
Yeah, they were from here. I think
they were
They're
fun.
from Vacaville.
It's not who
Yeah.
I'm thinking of. I'll come up with it. Robot
POD.
Master Switch says 80s metal was great, just not the pop stuff. The good thing about the 80s, there was a lot of spread of types of metal. You could like power metal and progressive metal and hair bands and thrash, and there was something for everyone in the 80s as far as metal goes. So
Yeah, I mean, but that was the thing. There was a big difference between, and we've mentioned them all. There's a big difference between Fifth Angel and Queensryche and Danger Danger and Anthrax and Living Color and Kix and Winger and Motorhead. And I mean, it was in Suicidal Tendencies. There was such a wide spread that there was something for everybody, but it was all metal. You know what I mean? At least it was, and that's the beautiful thing about that is when you watched Headbangers Ball, as much as there was a lot of sameness, there's a difference between Motley Crue and Rat. They might still be lumped. They're lumped into the same sort of subgenre of hair metal, but they're not the same band. Rat, Dokken, Motley Crue, Kix, different bands. Sound different, although Kix and Rat sounded almost exactly alike because Beau Hill produced both of their records. But when you Def Leppard, there's Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, Kix, Rat, Motley Crue, Dokken, Cinderella, Poison.
sure, but everyone had their own signature sound, but a lot of them blended well enough together that you could see Cinderella touring with Def Leppard and Rat touring with Bon Jovi. You could see them all mixing together. They were in the same family, even though, my vocalist is raspy, yours is high pitched, my guitarist is fast, yours is more melodic. Okay.
Right. There were bands that didn't get noticed. The Killer Dwarfs, the Jet Boys. There was a lot of those bands that were sort of at that second or third level that just kind of got ignored.
I was talking about Killer Dwarfs this morning, actually.
Love Killer Dwarfs.
I love them. I love Hurricane. I love Dirty Looks. There's so many great bands, really, really great bands that just got overlooked in the glut of it. It just, it's not something that you could even help. It just happened that way,
Yeah. But that was the beautiful part is you could go into a record store, walk over to the metal section and just grab anything and take a chance. Like you didn't care. You're like, oh, all right, well, this looks pretty good. Let's see. Like that was the last time where I don't think we were as discriminating when it came to music. If it was in the metal section, you looked at it and you went, Jailhouse. All right, let's see.
Yeah.
We just would go, all right, let's see if it's good. It's next to Kix. Jailhouse is next to Kix.
You'd look at the album cover. You'd look on the back of the album cover, long-haired guys, dressed kind of, piratey. I'm in. I'll try it. Sure. That's how you discovered so much good music.
But then you looked at stuff and you went, ooh, Slave Raider. Smash Gladys.
You can't tell me you wouldn't see a logo sometimes, like Steel Dragon, and and just jump on that. You knew that was heavy metal,
Steeler. I didn't know anything about Yngwie Malmsteen or Ron Keel when I bought the Steeler record. I looked at it and went, huh, this looks pretty good. Let's see.
The band I jumped on it. I ate it up.
Remember Snatch?
I love that one. And you know who licked them?
No,
we could go on with this forever.
No, Snatch was a real band. Snatch, we used to see pictures of them in Metal Edge. I don't know a Snatch song. I've never seen a Snatch CD, but damned if Jerry didn't have them in Metal Edge. You'd be looking through Metal Edge and you'd be like going through this. All right, who's this band? Tough. Okay, I get that. Danger. Bruno Ravel. Ooh, nice chest hair. Because
there was always a page like in the front of like her with like all these new bands that were brand new that you were yet to hear of.
And I think Snatch was, and somebody will correct me in the chat if you can. It was S''Natch, as in it's natural.
Oh, like Jerry Miller's pubic hair.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a sex reference. It was Snatchural.
You know what's really funny? If for those of you guys and girls out in the audience that read Metal Edge magazine, which I was a staple reader of that. I'd always read that.
Yeah, me too.
You'd look through the magazine, and all these hairband guys are with some of the most gorgeous rock chicks all over the place. And then you turn to the front page, and there's Jerry Miller posing with every one of those, and you're like, Jesus Christ, you know?
Yeah, but that's the only reason. You know, it was almost like Mitzi Shore. You know what I mean? You had to tolerate her to get into the magazine.
And you know, she probably had a nasal voice like, "So,
Jerry
Kipling,
Miller. She's some yenta from the island.
Cinderella. Ah, I
Cinderella.
love your new album. Take a photo with me. Wait. Take a photo. Can I sit on Mark Slaughter's lap? This is going right in the front of the magazine. And Blas Elias, you sit on my lap. It'll be funny. It'll be great." Holy shit. You knew Mark Slaughter was like, I hope after this I can get an erection when I get home. I can't get this out of my mind. You know?
That was how those girls got to get into the shows. It's like, well, I'm obviously not hot enough to get backstage. I'll start a magazine.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, it was a great magazine. Kudos to her.
And that's how a lot of those bands got into the magazines. It worked both ways.
Yeah, couch
to-
casting
you had
wasn't
to
just
eat out
something
Jerry
Weinstein
Miller.
did.
What?
Well, I can't promise your album will be reviewed, but
Yeah.
Oh,
It was like, wow, you wash your fucking feet. What's wrong with your feet, man, Kuda? Seriously, dude.
what's
What do you
wrong
even-
with my feet? I just got off the
Well,
patio. I'm
yeah.
walking around on my rooftop.
You haven't
patio.
seen his floor.
I'm gonna scrub my feet for this show.
I'm just when you put your feet up. I'd almost rather see your taint than your feet.
You're lucky I even washed my balls for this show.
Did you?
I
But
shaved.
yeah, I guarantee you, Jerry Miller was the Harvey Weinstein of her day.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure that there was, couch casting is not specifically a male thing. You notice that a lot of those, and by the way, that was, you saw a decline of the Western civilization.
Sure.
The girls got in the house if they brought a bag of groceries. I can tell you that is an absolutely true fucking story.
100% true.
My band never did shit, and we had women bringing us food. It was fucking awesome. I don't care what you say about any of that stuff. If you think that you had to be a headliner at fucking, at Guitarists or at fucking, pick a show, the Whiskey, if you had to be a headliner at that, or L'Amour's in New York, or Hammerjacks in Baltimore, or pick whatever place you want to pick. Nope. You could be the third band on a bill on a fucking Sunday night at the Channel in Boston and still have fucking Roadhead in the parking lot before the show. It was unfucking believable. And my rent was paid by so many strippers at that point. It was awesome.
Because if you had long hair back in the 80s, which a lot of us did, you could be the next Axl Rose. And keep in mind, I was a rocker, but I was never a singer or guitar. I played guitar as a hobby, but I was an actor. I was going to acting school. I was doing acting gigs. I wasn't going on stage at fucking the Limelight,
Mm-hmm.
But girls like that long hair, I'll tell you.
It was the best of times. It sucked because, and that's one more reason why I hate Nirvana, is my incredible glaring lack of talent didn't kill my career. Nirvana killed my career. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Why not?
No, but it was, that was true. It's exactly like the story that you hear on the Behind the Music, the Warrant Behind the Music, where on Thursday night you were headlining, then Nirvana happened. That Monday you couldn't get booked. It was ridiculous how quick that switch got flipped. And I think, going back to what we were talking about 15 minutes ago, that happened to grunge too. I think new metal flipped the switch to grunge, and the new metal lasted longer than grunge. I think
New metal was better than grunge. I mean, and again, I only like some of it, but I just hated grunge. And yes, Lexi, I will give you a car ride home. Yes, don't worry about it. I'll give you a ride home. Just saying. I totally agree, man. By the way, if anyone's in the chat and you're getting bored, take a second and just leave a thumbs up on the
or
video.
ask us about those obscure bands that you opinions that you're looking for. I've been asked. Chris Bevan has been asking for an hour and 54 minutes now about Warlock. Whether you want
what's funny,
Warlock,
that's on my list. I wrote that down.
yeah, Warlock or Doro, same thing.
Well, hold on. Doro was when she went solo. Warlock was when she was with, those early days.
I know, same thing though. I mean, it's there wasn't that much difference between Warlock or Doro. What Warlock was the band project, and then the record company went, "Hey, this girl is incredibly hot." I have a Christmas card from Doro from like 1987, and she was fucking stunning then, and she still looks good now. But they realized, Lita Ford, except German and more metal. Let's do it, and they took her name.
Doro was hot.
Yeah,
I would literally, no shit. By coincidence, I happened to be watching 2 Doro videos this morning. I watched Warlock, All We Are, and I watched Doro's live version of And the Chains Were On, which is a Dio cover because she was very close friends with Ronnie James Dio. And she was terrific, man. But for me, I personally like her earlier stuff more than her later stuff, but they were both really good. All We Are is my jam,
All We Are is a great jam.
Yeah.
Jesus
and
Christ.
some people like the Metalhead song, and that's cool. It's an anthem. I thought the lyrics were a little cheesy, when we say, this is my music. This is what I want to sing about, my music. I'm a metalhead, shit like that. I get it, but overall, I really like Doro Pesch, and I like her better with Warlock, but both are really good.
There you go. Here's my Christmas card from Doro from like fucking 19. Oh, that's all over the place. That's
There you go.
all over the place.
What are those condoms falling out?
That's my Christmas card from her back in the fucking 80s.
Who's that young boy in the other photo?
Yeah. That's Nuno Betancourt. You think I'm kidding? I have all kinds of old shit. Like, I'm old. I've been doing this for fucking 35 years, and all those ticket stubs are from free concerts that I got that I never thought I would actually like when I was doing college radio and earlier on. That's when I got that Christmas card from Doro. Was like, I was doing college radio. I'm like, I'm gonna be able to fuck this chick.
Doro was very, very hot, and she aged well. Certain girls just were really, really great looking. I know. I'm trying to think of what her name is. I think the drummer of Phantom Blue is. I'm friends with Nicole Couch, who was the guitarist or one of the guitarists. Her and Michelle were guitarists of Phantom Blue, which was an all-girl band. If you guys weren't familiar, and she says they would always have guys say, "Hey, like you said, hey, that drummer," because they had a very hot drummer. I think her name is Nancy, and is it Nancy or Linda?
I don't remember. I remember Phantom Blue and Precious Metal. Remember Precious Metal?
Yeah, another all-girl band. But no, they were guys had their favorites. Even in a selection of beautiful girls, guys had their favorites. They would focus on, because in a guy band, it's like, okay, you want a hot drummer? There's Blas Elias. You got Tommy Lee. Okay, girls, you had this other girl. I think Nancy or Linda. I forget what it was, but
one of the most beautiful girls I've ever met is now the current lead guitar player for Vixen. Her name is Brittany Denaro, and Brittany is fucking phenomenal. She's the nicest kid. I bought her first beer when she was like 19, when she was in a band in Boston called Jaded. And to see her now playing in Vixen, I was like, well, this makes complete sense. She's a super talented guitar player, first and foremost, and she looks outstanding, and is crushing it every night in Vixen now. The whole idea of like chick bands, real difficult to be, because let's face it, we're fucking sexist pigs. We never took Sandy Saraya seriously as a singer.
I did. I got it different. I loved Sandy Saraya.
I love both records. I own both records.
Me too.
But we looked at her and went, oh, she's hot. What did we all say the first time we saw Roxy Petrucci? Not as cute as her sister. Or remember, you may or may not remember
Lorraine Lewis, Femme Fatale.
Met her at the Polygram Records building, which they shared an office building in Woburn, Massachusetts, with MCA Records. And And she came in. I was sitting with a buddy of mine who's a record executive. He's out there in L.A. named Mike Idless. And Mike was a local promoter at the time. He's the guy that took me to go see Kiss on that July 4th show that we talked about last week. So we're sitting in the office. It's me and Idless, and we're talking. I don't know, we're looking at the first LA Guns record or some shit like that. And this guy walks in with this fucking blonde, and we were like, "Oh my God!" And how this is Lorraine. She's one of our new artists. She's in a band called Femme Fatale. They're going to be putting this stuff, and just like we were just like speechless. Hi, nice to meet you. When she walked out, the two of us were like, "Oh my fucking God!" She was stunningly good looking.
But let me guess, you tried to be cool. You tried to you sat up and tried to deepen your voice. You're like, "Oh, hey, how you doing? I'm Paul. How are you?"
I was fucking 20. I didn't know what I couldn't. I was just trying to go. Yeah.
You tried to hide your boner. You're like,
yeah. It was fucking insane. She was so good looking in person.
And she had those short denim shorts she always wore.
Yeah, she wasn't wearing that at the time. She was wearing spandex, but like black spandex, like what we would call yoga pants today.
So I can play guitar. Oh, nice to meet you, Lorraine. What talents do you have? I can read lips. I mean, no, not read lips. No.
She was. Now, unfortunately, her band wasn't all that good, but now she's singing for Vixen and has held up nicely. Thanks for asking. She's had a lot of work.
Lorraine Lewis is in Vixen now?
Yeah.
Because I saw them 2 years ago, and Janet Gardner.
She's gone.
Really?
Yeah, Lorraine's been in Vixen for a little over a year now.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And she looks good. She still looks good. She's had a ton of work done. She's got the clown face thing happening, but still, she still looks good. She's still in great shape. Still sounds good.
Here's my squirting flower. The clown face. Hey, 124 in the chat. Could you guys take a second and please leave a thumbs up on the video? I'm looking, my dick is wilting looking at the amount of thumbs up right now, comparative to the amount of live people in the chat.
Oh, it's 70. Remember that one night? What was it, a Saturday night where we did like 2 hours or 3 hours, and we only like
two likes.
There was like 13 thumbs ups, and we couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I don't want to fall into that trap. So just please
believe it.
We're working hard to keep you guys out of depression in this quarantine era. So just do us that favor. Take a second, leave a thumbs up. Colleen Gray brings up the Iron Maidens. Let me tell you something. And this is, we're joking and stuff, but comedy aside, I have no judgment on if a player or singer is male or female. There's a lot of female talent out there that I have massive respect for. The Iron Maidens being one of them. They're fucking terrific. And, you see, obviously, you had Courtney Cox. She's still in the band. And I forgot who their other guitarist is now. I think it's
Nikki
Stringfield. Nikki Stringfield. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because they lost, what's her name? Alice Cooper. Nita Strauss.
Nita Strauss, yeah.
These are great players, and I'm sure they get the typical bullshit discrimination as women. But I'm just saying, on this show,
I don't think so. These days, I don't think they do.
Not anymore.
They do.
No. Here you go. Here's Precious Metal.
Every guy's wishing that they could play like them.
Precious Metal. That's the other band. Like them. Another chick band that didn't happen. I just found my old press kits from people back when this will make you want to go for some old 80s stuff. There you go.
Yeah, I love old ladies. Oh wait, what were you saying?
Greg Howe.
Lick my pussy.
old Greg Howe picture, promo picture.
Oh my God.
Who's that?
Friedman.
Marty.
Old Marty Friedman picture when he first came out.
Marty Friedman.
Jason when he first came out.
My man. Colleen.
Cacophony.
There you go. Little Striper.
The great Jason Becker.
Look at those hair. Look at that hair.
Striper.
Michael Sweet looks like my ex-girlfriend from high school that stepped in on our Saturday night show.
I want to fuck him right now.
Oh,
yeah, that was something going on. Saxon.
There's a great band. Broken Heroes, man.
When these are all like old press things. When Somewhere in Time came out, Iron Maiden, like these record companies used to send these things out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't get them anymore. I mean, Maiden's record company was not screwing around. They sent us all kinds of shit.
Well, they knew.
You know, we got all kinds of stuff from what was going on with Maiden. So yeah, those are. I just was looking for the precious metal one and just happened to find all of these.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of this shit and I used to save this stuff, and I don't know why I still have it, because does anybody really remember Black Rose?
No.
No, of course you don't. I do.
They all crashed at your house. Hey, listen, man. We only got 2 people at our show. We didn't cover door. Can we like sleep on the floor? Paul,
You laugh.
got any food? Can I open these cans of
The only
spaghetti?
2 people at our show was us.
Like, we could
Jesus.
very much be the next Guns N' Roses, man.
We got our old cult.
Look at
What'd you
that.
call it? Oh, Cult.
The cult. Oh yeah, yeah. So do you have a lot of those that are signed? You have a lot of
Yeah,
personalized
well,
ones and stuff?
I'm finding now, that I do. A Motorhead.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just happen to look through this thing here. There we go. We got Metallica on this side. That's signed, and then on this side,
Should have been Lars. Should have been
maybe
Lars.
the last
Oh, cool.
maybe the last promo shot of those guys. So
Wow.
yeah, no, this
That's
is all,
cool.
all
I've
kind of cool shit.
I've got something personalized from Dimebag. I've got a Washburn catalog. I went and I met him back in 1995, and I got some pictures with him, and he signed some stuff for me. And
Talk about a robbery of talent.
super nice guy.
Dimebag Darrell,
he was
fan
super
and
super cool.
amazingly talented musician.
He was really nice. He was really cool.
I've heard
He
that
showed
from
up-
everybody.
A
Yeah.
radio station that I worked at in Boston, WAAF, which is no longer there anymore. So Dime shows up one night with our night guy, a guy named Mike Shue, and they're on the air taking calls from people. And at the time, tattooing was illegal in the state of Massachusetts. So Dime says, "Man, I really want to get a tattoo." He's on the air talking about how he wants to get a tattoo. Guy calls up and says, "I'll bring my gun and my ink down." You know, it was sort of a, underground thing at the time. He goes, "I'll bring my tattoo gun and my ink down." Dime's like, "Hell yeah, you will." So this guy shows up with his tattoo gun and his ink, and he sets it up. Now Dime starts taking calls from people. Says, "Hey man, I'll give you a tattoo if you want to come down to the station." So we got people showing up at the station, and Dimebag is in the studio drinking with a tattoo gun and just drawing pictures on people's arms at that point. Just like didn't give a shit. He's got his Crown and Coke, his black tooth grin, doing his thing. And I mean, it's the most unsanitary thing in the world. Like, we think about what's going on now with being self-quarantined. Can you imagine just having a studio wide open, a guy, with his drink there, hammered with a tattoo gun, just going to town on people, unlicensed, unregulated. He was awesome.
That's talent.
It was just oh no, by the way, he could play guitar pretty good too.
I've heard that rumor. No, he was a big fan of 80's. He was a big fan of Kiss. He was the fanboy that happened to also be an amazing guitarist and a nice guy. And of course, that's why we lost him, right?
Well, yeah, no, you can't kill an asshole.
Yeah, Randy Rhoads, same thing. Here's one of the best guitarists in the world that wants nothing more than to show a casual fan. Oh, you want to know how I play Crazy Train? Here, let me show you. Pick up that guitar. Let me show you. Of course, we lose those guys.
Zach used to be like that. Zach Wilde used to be like that, where he would just hang and just want to play guitar with you and shoot the shit and stuff. And since he got sober, he has straightened. He's way more unapproachable, very much more difficult to get. And that's not him; it's his people around him trying to protect him, because he was on his way to the grave, and he was way overdoing it. But he was one of those guys, a lot like Dime, just sort of a regular guy that would hang out and shoot the shit with you for a couple of hours for no reason.
I met him. He was nice as pie when I met him.
Awesome.
Let's see. Okay, time-wise, it is time. We've been going 2 hours. It is the time marker to do our Tuesday show and tell guitar. For those of you that haven't left a thumbs up, please do right now. But I have a very cool celebrity guitar, and this is from an 80s player that a lot of people know. And I'm gonna give everyone a chance to see if they could guess it. Hang on one second.
Do I have to stay out of this one?
No,
Am
you
I gonna know who? Am I
you
gonna know
could
who it is?
You could take a guess after everyone else. Hey, Tessie Switch. You could take a guess after a lot of the chat takes a guess and before I reveal it. So here's your clue today. This is a well-known guitarist that was in, I'm going to say, let's see.
A band.
I'm
Nice.
going to say he
nailed it,
was
Johnny.
in 4 very well-known 80s bands. So I know Fruitcake Tony is probably my best guesser right now. And no damn taco lover. It's not a Vinnie Vincent V.
Hey, Mickey.
Settlemeyer.
Hey, Mickey. So wait, it's an 80s guitarist that was in 4 80s bands that were popular
Yes.
at the same time?
Not
Different
at the
times.
same time. He's been passed around a lot, but it's a player that is really, really well known as a great guitar player, and he was in 4. So I want you, if you're taking a guess, I want you to name the 4 bands that you think that this guy was in. So if you're guessing Vivian Campbell, like Music Therapy Laz is, I want you to name the 4 bands, the 4 known bands that you think your guitarist was in. So I'm not just going to take the name. I want the name, and give me an example. Don't just say, Craig Goldie. Think about this answer for a minute. What bands was Craig Goldie in that you're taking that guess of Craig Goldie? So let's see who comes up with what. And as a prize, you get to use the Johnny Bean fuck pillow.
Wow.
I'll just clean it out a little bit. Oh, sorry. It's a little jizzy right now, but
It's a good thing nobody's watching this.
yeah, no, thank God. Only thousands of people on iHeartRadio and YouTube and Facebook.
No wonder Dave and Jay both left.
Yeah. Thank goodness. All right. Guesses are coming in. So Chad Becknell is guessing Vivian Campbell because of Dio, River Dogs, Def Leppard, and Whitesnake. That's a great guess, but no. Colleen Gray is guessing Craig Goldie, who is in Jafria and with Dio. That's 2, but where's the 4?
Oh, so wait a minute.
This guitarist was in 4 metal bands. Now, make no mistake. I'm not saying when and what period he was in these 4 bands, but these were 4 80s bands, and he's an 80s guitar player. So let's see. Fruitcake Tony is guessing Carlos Cavazo because of Quiet Ride and Rat. What are the other 2, though? Is he in 2 others? I want to see your guess with 4 bands backing your guy up. Colleen Gray, another guess. Vandenberg, Adrian Vandenberg, Whitesnake, Vandenberg, Moon Kings, and you ran out of bands.
I'm going to go
That's
with
a good
Doug
guess, but
Aldrich.
it's not Adrian Vandenberg.
Probably ran out of space.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Doug Aldrich.
And what bands was Doug in?
Hurricane, Lion, Whitesnake, Dio.
That's a great guess, man. And that qualifies as one of the best guesses tonight, but it's not Doug. Good guess, though, man. That was a really good one.
How's it not done? Was he in one more band?
No. He got 4 big name bands that Doug was in. It's not Doug's guitar.
Oh, okay. So wait, so what was this?
Looking for a 4th band, but she can't think of one.
Was this person? Were they like a session musician? Were they played on other records?
This is someone who has played on records. Yes.
So were they necessarily in like members of those 4 bands? Did we see their name and their face on those records?
Yes, at various times. Hold on. Mark Dillon guesses Jakey Lee, but I don't see any backup albums. Metal Soda guesses Neil Sean, who was in Hardline, Journey, Bad English. And
HSAS.
but it's not Neil Schon. That was another good guess. Okay, hold on. Garguts Entertainment. Guesses. Garguts. I'm sorry. Garguts Entertainment.
We had dinner with him.
Lynch, because of Dokken, Lynch Mob, Exciter, Hearing Aid. Great guess. It's not Lynch. Pooh Ninja guesses Reb Beach. Pooh, give me 4 bands that Reb would have been in. Hold on, I want to see. Colleen is guessing Jakey Lee. For Rough Cut, Ozzy Badlands, and Mickey Rat. Good guess on Jake. It's not Jake.
I'm trying to find a 4th band for Reb Beach.
Fruitcake Tony guessing Carlos Cavazzo. For Quiet Riot, Rat, Snow, no other. The original Paramutant jumps in, taking Pooh Ninja's guess of Reb Beach with Winger, Whitesnake, Dokken, and Alice Cooper. Original Paramutant and Pooh Ninja. You guys got it. It is Reb Beach. Reb Beach started in Winger. He also was Alice Cooper's guitar player. He was in Whitesnake, and he was in Dokken for a while. All them high-profile appearances, and then reuniting with Winger again. So excellent gang out.
And he's in Whitesnake again now.
He's in Whitesnake now, I believe, right? With with what's his name? Tall guy.
Oh, that guy.
The kid for Joel Hoekstra.
Joel Hoekstra, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who was in Night Ranger for a while.
Wait, Jason Lee sang guest Reb Beach 5 minutes ago. Did you give me 5 bands too?
4 bands.
4 bands, I'm sorry. Let's see. I'm scrolling up, Jason Lee. You can't lie to me if you are.
Now it's 6 bands.
Yeah, I know.
9
30
bands.
bands.
The only way you'd be able to get that if it was 9 bands is if it was fucking Mike Portnoy, and he's in 9 of them now. Oh,
He's
sorry,
like
just
cousin
quit
Oliver.
4 of them.
He's the cousin Oliver of bands. He just kills everything.
Yeah, he's the McLean Stevenson of,
Hey, Cobra
of
Kai.
bands.
Let's see. I'm looking for Jason Lee's guess. He might have guessed. You know what, Jason? You might have guessed it before.
Because he only gave 3.
4 bands with it, to be fair. But I'll give you the credit, man. I'll give you the credit. Reb Beach is a monster player, great guitarist. Now, this particular guitar was when he was in Ibanez in Dorsey, and which was for a while. He was between Ibanez and Sir at times. And the guitar he wanted them to make him a custom guitar out of one of their already existing guitars, out of one of their existing body styles, as to where Reb normally wanted the WRB3 or the Reb Beach with the cutout at the bottom. You know, he usually designed his own. This one, he took one of their existing bodies and said, look, I want this, but I want it made with higher quality parts and this way with these custom touches. So they came up with this guitar that you can see. Look at that thing.
That's a Roadstar.
Yep. Roadstar series.
So this is an Ibanez Blazer, also known as the Roadstar in a different configuration. But this is a custom shop one. This one was made specifically for Reb. This was one of 2 made, one in blue and one in a tobacco burst. The blue one is the one that wound up being his go-to. You can see this with all 4 bands. He played this with Whitesnake. He played this with Alice Cooper. He played it when he reunited with Winger, and he played it on a very high-profile concert with Dokken. If you look at the Dokken Live from the Sun, which was some sort of Dokken Live from the Sun, which was like a Mohegan Sun concert, something like that, you will see that guitar being used for like a 12-minute solo and other songs and whatever. But you'll see him using this very visibly with Alice Cooper, with Dokken, with Winger in their reunited state, and with Whitesnake. So this guy has made the rounds. So it's got the typical Reb Beach colored mirror pick guard. You know, it's like a gold colored mirror. He's got a gold Floyd down on the bottom. Let's see it a little better there.
John, I have a question.
Shoot.
Can you play guitar?
Yes, but not well.
Okay. I'm with you. I also suck.
Yeah, you and I are probably on that same level there. But
because I love
there
it.
you
The
go.
next question is always, hey, man, how does it sound? Plug it in and play it. And you go, oh.
yeah. Well, first of all, my amps are in the other room. And second of all, you don't want to hear me play. I've
Right.
played on the show before, little noodling things and whatever, you know, parts of songs and riffs and whatever. People have seen me play if you've watched the show long. And again, I'm not a great player. I'm not a fucking Jay Hannon or a Johnny Beane or a Dave Nesdahl. I'm a Neanderthal. So,
Wow.
so
I'd like to say that hurt, but it didn't. It kind of felt nice. Can you do it again?
You're there. And look, I make no bones about my ability or lack thereof. So, okay.
Well, as a guitar player, I'm pretty good on the radio.
Yeah. All right. So here's the headstock, which looks like a total big fat cock. I never liked this headstock design.
I do like the hardware, though. The brass hardware is nice, or the gold tint to the hardware, I think, is a great look on that guitar.
And that's a Reb thing. Reb loves gold hardware. It's a rosewood board. It's a trans blue. It's kind of hard to see, but it's a trans blue finish, trans blue wood. And you have EMG pickups in it all the way around. Humbucker at the bottom. I suspect it's an 81 or something custom or a modified 81, I would guess. It's got Reb's original strap on it. Strap on, strap off. So that was Reb's strap at the time.
Oh, that's cool.
Brass hardware. And he put this, I guess it's a skate company sticker on there that was very visible in concert videos.
Oh,
All over the place.
I thought that was the section where you rubbed the autograph off.
Yeah, right.
That's what I thought.
You'd think, right? Yeah, and again, you know, you see there's tape at the bottom of the pick guard. I guess at one point Reb bashed it and he didn't want the pick guard to crack further, so he put this electric tape on there. And what's funny is if you look in the Japanese magazines that always showcase everyone's gear and stuff, you'll see like he's had that sticker on there like since the beginning. He's put that sticker on there. So that was part of the look of the guitar that he's had that. If you watch Dokken at the Sun, or was this called Dokken Live from the Sun? Yeah, watch this video. You will see. You can even just put it on YouTube and just put, you know, Reb Beach Dokken live from the Sun, and you will see the most amazing video, like a 12-minute solo set played on this guitar. Do it after you leave the show. And again, it's always cool when you get something that he really used a lot. There's, you know, backup guitars and, it was made for him, but he never played it. But if you look at the concert videos with Alice Cooper, there's loads of photos with him. You go to rebbeach.com, there's like 100 photos of this guitar being played with all those bands I mentioned. And that's really cool, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's always the thing. And again, you know, Reb always has a nice neck on it, you know, on his guitars, based on the signature series of his that I've played. I have that RBM2 that's really great, the Koa one. So, you know, this is just one of those. Again, I'm very proud to own something that was really used a lot from a guitarist. I admire his work a lot. And this is my, you know, example for Reb Beach of something he played a lot in concert and in shows and in some recordings, you know, and that's it. Now he's exclusively with Sir, so he's not playing Ibanez anymore. And this got shaken loose, and I was very lucky to get it, very happy to get it. But there you go, kids. Let's see, a little thumbnail action. Ooh,
Yeah, the thumbnails are always tricky.
Let's see. Let's see
I'm
if I
always,
can get a good one.
I'm always trying to get it with where there's no glare.
Because it's like
Almost.
Zach,
Almost.
what do you think?
Right. Maybe right there. Maybe
There.
right there. What's the timestamp on that? 2:15?
2:15:35.
There you go. All right, so there you go. So that is today's show and tell Tuesday guitar. Reb Beaches, Ibanez Blazer, custom shop, made for Reb, trans blue, used with Warrant, Whitesnake, Dokken, and the great Alice Cooper. Bam.
And again,
Nice.
Reb, one of those, arguably one of the more underrated guitar players in the history of the sport. One of those guys that had the misfortune of coming up through Winger. But if you go, and I say that as a fan, again, I like Winger's music, but they weren't taken seriously because Kip was so fantastically good looking and they were made fun of by Beavis and Butthead. Go back and listen to those Winger records. Incredible musicianship, not the least of which is guitar playing. Also, maybe my favorite version of Whitesnake, and this is a tough thing to say because I love the Vi version, the Vi Vandenberg version, but maybe my favorite version of Whitesnake is the Reb Beach, Doug Aldrich years. The Good to Be Bad and you know, those records, Forevermore. Those are fantastic albums. Reb is a chameleon. He can play anything and he does it all perfectly. And oh, by the way, he can write a song too. And again, if you're a great guitar player, that's one thing, but if you can't write a song, what good does it? You know, what good does it do you? Anybody can do Little Italy's all day long. Little Italy. But if you've got no songs, Reb has songs. That guy can play. And by all accounts, I've never met him, but by all accounts, is a nice guy.
He is a nice guy. I have met him. I met him back in the day, but I imagine he's still a nice guy.
I met him with Winger. I met them all. And he was really nice. I gave him some guitar picks, you know, some of my picks, and he was cool.
You know,
He was blown away by that gesture, by the way.
He's like, I'm going to save these forever. I'm never going to wash my hands again.
Look what I got. It's like you and I getting like a Van Halen pick. It's like, look what I got. Eddie gave it to me. Look at this. And he, you know, he's like, Johnny Beane gave me these. Jesus. Paul's like, hey, can I have one? Come on, man, get your own.
Somewhere, Reb Beach is sitting with David Coverdale and Tommy Aldridge and going, hey, I got a guitar pick from Johnny Beane. And
I know, right?
And Coverdale's like, oh, that's fantastic, darling. I've heard he's sold millions of records and is in the Hall of Fame.
I've heard it's very nice.
Very nice, darling. You know, Mr. Hellstorm 74, cool screen name, brings up Damon Johnson. Brother Kane, one of those bands that fell through the cracks in the 90s. Fantastic band that had no place to go. Unfortunately, got lumped in with that Black Crowes sort of cry of love, you know, sort of bluesy music out of its element. But if you want to check out a band that was really, really good, check out some Brother Kane. Just a weird 90s reference, even though I know we're talking classic 80s hair metal bands. But Brother Kane was a great band and should have been bigger than they were at their time. And Damon Johnson can play.
I've got to dive into this. By the way, did we thank Music Therapy Laz for that donation?
$5, yeah.
Are you still here, Music Therapy?
Thank you, man. He just went out to dinner with his wife, which I did last night. Dinner with his wife. No, but thank you, Laz. Seriously, thank you so much, brother. We really appreciate that. And if you like this guitar, leave a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that. And we love our new iHeartRadio audience as well.
Original Paramutant just references Junkyard. Junkyard put out a fantastic album 2 years ago. Great record.
A new one.
Junkyard's great. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Let me see if I can go grab it for you. It's good.
Excuse me?
What? Wait, what?
What? You're grabbing it for me. Real quick, Colleen Gray brought up, you saw the Frankenberry cereal box on my shelf over there. And yeah, there's a story behind that. I actually had that in a past episode. I explained I explained what that is. It is a movie prop. It's a Frankenberry cereal box mask with a hole cut out in the middle. That was a movie prop from the movie Hollywood Sex Wars that I was in a couple of scenes. And the joke was basically that my character had a lot of money, and this girl was trying to borrow money, and to get her to entice me to lend her the money, I told her I had a fetish. And the next scene, you see her like slipping on the Frankenberry cereal box and blowing me. So, and it's not a porn, it's a comedy. But you can look it up, Hollywood Sex Wars.
Well, if
It's an
she's
actual
blowing you, it's a
movie.
comedy.
It's a funny movie. It's funny prop. What'd you say?
I said, if she's blowing you, it's a comedy, or is it a tragedy?
If you see me naked, it's a tragedy. If you see me naked, it's also a comedy.
So here's that Junkyard record. It's called High Water, and it's actually 3 years old.
Named after my pants.
Yeah, it came out in 2017. Great song on it that you can't read because the font is too small, but WFLWF. We fuck like we fight. Which I think is, I mean, Junkyard, again, like we were talking about a lot of those bands that got sort of cast by the wayside because they came too late. This is another band that I think is better than Danger Danger and so many other bands that were bigger than them. And that's not to say that I don't like Danger Danger.
I love Danger.
Yeah, it's not that, or Firehouse. It's not, I like these guys better. I think these guys got a raw deal. I think Jet Boy and Junkyard and Jackal and a bunch of other J bands, or, just whatever, Killer Dwarfs and
Killer Dwarfs with a J.
Yes, that's it's a silent J.
Dwarfs.
It's Kajiller Dwarfs. Kajiller Dwarfs.
Dwarfs.
Yeah, they were Swedish. But I think a lot of these bands got overlooked. A band like Junkyard got overlooked because bands like Danger Danger, who I don't think were as good as Junkyard. I think that's how these guys got tossed by the wayside. But this came out a couple of years ago. Well worth your dollars. Support Junkyard if you can find it in a local record store. LA's got the greatest record store on the face of the earth with Amoeba Records. You'll be able to find this there. I got it from a place here in Phoenix that also has record stores in Vegas called Zia Records. But fantastic album. You should buy this.
I'm going to buy it because, again, like you, I'm that guy that buys the CDs to back up and have that hard copy of supporting the bands. And I like Junkyard. And again, I'm more of a Danger Danger fan than you, but I still love Junkyard. And, again, those type of bands, Dangerous Toys, and, I
like Dangerous Toys.
Yeah, I mean, we could go on and on. But yeah, Junkyard was definitely overlooked. And, I've seen them live. I saw them in concert, bought their first album. Hugh Caldwell, I have heard of Smash Gladys. That's another band.
We goofed on him earlier, I think.
It's another band in that genre of latecomers. Excuse me. But yeah, no, I mean, I did like them. And you know what? Speaking of sites that you can buy obscure music on, I came across this one yesterday. I want to give it out to the audience. The website is fnarecords.net. FNA as in fucking A, FNA. Looks, Johnny, can you bring that up? And they have a lot of bands who had very popular demos and EPs in the 80s, but never really had it produced, or a lot of lost tracks. Like they came out with a new album from the band Wildside, who was another D-list, LA metal band that I personally love. I think they're great. Hang On Lucy, terrific. So if you go to fnarecords.net, you'll see a lot of bands like them, like Gypsy Rose. There's a Whitesnake cover album that looks great. Shy Boy, Lovemaker, Resurrection Mary, Tornado Babes, Logan, all these bands from their first EPs and demos and stuff that you might have gotten circulating around the Sunset Strip and whatnot. But Lovemaker, a lot of bands like that, let's see, Big Guns, Black and Blue, unreleased tracks. There's a great example. Let's see, Christine, unreleased album. Dirty Looks, unreleased tracks. This is a a huge amount of bands that, you know, maybe Paul and I have heard of a lot, or maybe
Right.
even have the demos of, and maybe some of you guys and girls out there have the demos of and say, shit, I wish they came out with something. Well, now they have. They've gone to this company and said, hey, produce, you know, this demo in a better version, or get it as high quality as you can, or we have lost tracks, you know, things like that. Mommy Dearest, Naughty Jane, Nikki Fox, No Romeo, you know, bands like that, that you're like, wow, that band was a big club band in Chicago, or big club band on the Sunset Strip, you know, but they never made it. They never got that record deal, but you still want, you remember seeing them live opening for Motley Crue or whatever. And you're like, wow, I wish I had, you know, the ability to hear that song again. These guys at F&A Records have a lot of these artists, like I'd say 100 of them. Rock's Gang, who I also love and was produced, they have an album of lost tracks. Roxy Blue, we were talking about them earlier. These are all albums that, you know, even S.A. Adams featuring Mike Portnoy. Now you know why they didn't make it. That's terrible. I'm sorry. But you get the idea. So check them out, F&A Records. They have a lot of cool titles. Paul, you must know a bunch of these bands.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny when you mentioned Wildside, I was looking for a CD. There was a band in Boston called Wildside as well, but they were one of the best unsigned bands in Boston. And I was kind of looking on the F&A site to see if they actually released. The band was originally called Axminster, 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 who became Wildside. And I remember when Wildside, the actual signed version of the band, got signed, I kind of looked over at my local record and I was like, that's going to be the end of those guys. You know what I mean? Like, there were so many bands that, like, you know, how many Predators out there, or Tempests were there, or, you know, London Blitz, or like all these kind of weird band names that you went and you looked and you went, shit, there's another Chaos. Damn it. You know?
Yeah, you knew they were metal bands.
But you knew, but the sad part about it was, like, you were like, oh, I've got the great name for this band. What are they called? You know, Black Leather. No shit. And then you go to the record store and you go, shit. You know, I'm sure when Skid Row found out that Gary Moore had a band called Skid Row, Doc McGee was like, shit, I better figure out who owns the rights to this thing and buy them quick.
Oh,
Look,
yeah.
there's Ronnie North. He's a friend of ours. He's been on the show.
We mentioned Tora Tora earlier. Tora Tora has 5 albums on this website.
Which ones? Because let's see.
To
See
Rock,
if I have them.
To Rock to Roll, Revolution Day,
Got that.
Misbehavin',
Nope.
Bombs Away, and Before and After.
See, there you go. There's a bunch of stuff that you would never think to yourself. I've got all of the Tora Tora stuff that was commercially released on a much larger scale. Revolution Day, not so much. That one was a tough one to find. But there's 4 other albums on there that, if you're a fan of those bands, you can go and find and buy legitimately. Like, don't stream them. Don't take them off YouTube.
Right.
Go to this website, pay them whatever the $9 or whatever it is the CD costs, and buy it and support those bands. Now, granted, I don't think the guys, Patrick and those guys and Anthony and Tora Tora, are going to get any money out of it. They probably got their check when they sold the rights to the recording.
Right.
For, you know, $25,000 or whatever the record company paid. And that might even be exorbitant in reality to what they actually got paid. But look, if you've got these demo tapes sitting on the shelf and they're worth $0, and F&A Records comes to you and says, hey, we'll give you $10,000 to release this thing, and then they sell it for $9 at a pop, you know, it's going to take them a while to recoup their money. It's almost like, you know, selling your insurance policy ahead of the time or borrowing against your 401k. It was worth nothing. Now it's worth $10,000. But at least you can get that music, buy it and support the artist, and buy the physical copies instead of ripping it off.
Yeah, and get their name out there, because you know what? They'll still play a Monsters of Rock. Well, no more Monsters of Rock cruise for a while, but they'll play tours. They'll have more fans. They're seeing them live. I mean, this is good stuff, and some of these albums are really, really good. You know,
some of them are shit.
A lot of them are shit, but you know,
yeah.
There's reasons
I mean,
didn't get on. But no, with that said, I'm sure it's a mix like anything else. Look, back in the day, if you would have seen 50 bands out in the store over a year, you would have tried a couple of them. You would have.
Yeah.
You know? And bands like Rocksgang, I want their early recordings that didn't get released. I love that shit. Stuff on their demos that didn't make the commercial cut. I want to hear it. I love Rocksgang. I love Wildside. I love Dirty Looks. These are bands I enjoy already that now there's more material from. Fucking A.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, now that Heinrich is no longer with us, anytime you can get anything from Dirty Looks, you absolutely do it. I think I told the Dirty Looks story, right? When I saw them at the channel in Boston. This is the thing. Heinrich is for those that don't know, he was the lead vocalist for Dirty Looks and really sort of the brains behind the band.
Lead vocalist and guitarist and writer.
Yeah. So he's they're playing on stage at a bar in Boston, a club in Boston called The Channel, which is no longer there because all the clubs are gone. So Dirty Looks are playing. They're in the middle of a song. I don't know what song it was. It was something off a Turn of the Screw, because that was the tour where they were on. So they're in the middle of this song and the band is jamming. Heinrich walks off stage. Now I'm thinking, well, where the hell is he going? The band is just doing their thing. He stumbles off the stage, down the stairs, walks over. I think it might have been a drum solo. That might be why he left the stage. So he comes off the stage and he's over and he's just leaning against one of the iron poles at the club. Rhodey comes out, takes a cigarette, lights it, puts it in his mouth, like literally, because Heinrich is completely fucking out of it. Couldn't believe it. I was surprised the guy could even stand. So Rhodey comes out, lights a cigarette, puts it in his mouth, turns him around, puts him, like, helps him get up the stairs, pushes him back out on the stage. I'm surprised Heinrich was conscious. He was so fucked up. He walks out on the stage, goes over to the microphone just as the drum solo ends and hits the chord to the next song, never misses a note, never forgets a word, locks right back in with the band, and was stunningly fucking brilliant. It was one of the most rock and roll moments ever. And now he's gone. And I kind of wish that moment hadn't happened, because I would rather have Heinrich around making music than to have to tell that story.
Oh, totally.
But it was a fucking insane moment.
Keep in mind also, for those that haven't heard it, you know, Dirty Looks has been called like a poor man's AC/DC. But
a lot
the
of bands
fact
like that.
is, they were fucking fantastic. And do you know how many albums they have? And two of them known as the River Dogs as well. And so an Orange Agent or Agent Orange, something like that as well.
Well, the unfortunate part is there was another band, another River Dogs band, which was Vivian Campbell and Lou Gramm.
Right.
You know, that not to be confused with the same Dirty Looks band, but yeah, I mean, there's another example of what we were talking about earlier.
No,
about,
I'm sorry.
I've got this great band name. Shit.
My bad. Rumble Dog.
Oh, there you go.
My bad.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about
there's like 20 albums.
Yeah, Dirty Looks was great.
Like 20 albums. That's a lot of material. It's like Sabotage. No one understands how much material Sabotage has put out. Dirty Looks is the same thing. You don't even know, and you don't know what you're missing. If you haven't heard it, listen to Dirty Looks. Go on YouTube, or you'll find all that stuff on YouTube still. Fantastic stuff.
Mr. Big is another band that has more music out than anybody knows.
How many albums they have?
Oh Jesus, I'll have to count them.
I know of like only 3, I think.
Oh no, hang on. I'll go look.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Mr. Big,
my penis. Yes, my penis. Let me show you my. Oh wait, what were you talking about, Johnny?
Well, besides that,
Billy
Sheehan from Mr. Big will be here May 1st, 8:00 Eastern.
Nice.
So make sure to tune in.
That's going to be great. What day is that? Friday, Saturday?
Friday.
It's
all Fridays.
If you count live albums and EPs, Mr. Big has 19 fucking albums.
Dang. Wow.
And I pulled this out before. The most insane box set you've ever seen.
19, you said?
19. And this thing is an insane box set. 22 discs.
You know what's really funny? When you just said 19, I had a flashback of Ed Rooney looking at Ferris Bueller's attendance record in school, talking to Ferris's mother, and he's like, "Do you know, Mrs. Bueller, that Ferris has been absent from school 9 times? 9 times? 9 times." That's the feeling I just got when you just told me there was 19 Mr. Big albums.
Yep. If you count, I mean, if they count the live albums, they've got like 3 or 4 live albums. They've got a couple of EPs that were Japanese only. There again, that box set that I just showed you is 22 discs, and that's only from the first 3 albums. It's all demos and live shows. It's 20 CDs of audio music, 2 DVDs, plus like a book of like, you know, tour information and a big photo book and stuff like that. Can only get it in Japan. It's like a fucking $300 box set. But that's cool. Well worth it. It's just so good because it's the early stuff from when they were just coming out. So, you know, demos of the first 3 albums. When you hear like Addicted to That Rush in the building stage and in the demo stage, you sit back and you go, well, geez, they didn't have to do much in the studio to sort of polish this thing up because it was already brilliant because of the parties involved.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Big has so much music, and you wouldn't know in this country because all anybody knows is To Be With You and their cover of Wild World.
And To Be With You, that's thanks to my friend that was the DJ that started playing that song. That's how I hung out with the band and met them, was because they came to town to thank him.
You were working at the strip club that week, right, Johnny? You were on the pole and the DJ started playing that song?
No.
Johnny's like, it's too slow to dance to. Oh, wait, that's a good track. I like that.
Thank you for subscribing, Mr. Hellstorm 74.
Very cool name, man. Thank you, brother. We appreciate
it so much.
I think of other bands that have a shitload of music that nobody knows about.
Speaking, by the way, of Mr. Big, I just want to chime this in because of Paul Gilbert. Someone mentioned earlier in Phantom Blue, Michelle Meldrum and Nicole Couch, the 2 guitarists from Phantom Blue. Yes, they did learn from Paul Gilbert when he was teaching in Los Angeles. They did take lessons from him. Isn't it amazing? Like, you know, you look at like guys like Gilbert and Satriani. At one point, they were teaching in schools these these guitar players that eventually joined 80s bands. It's mind-blowing.
My brother took lessons from Joe Stump, who has gone on to be a big shredder, mostly in Europe, more in Europe. He's in Alcatraz now, in the new version of Alcatraz.
I didn't even know there was a new version of Alcatraz. Who else is in it?
Graham Bonnet.
Okay.
And that's all you need to know.
That really is it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think.
Was it Jimmy Waldo?
Who's working the keyboard?
Well, that's, you know, as long as you've got Graham Bonnet, it's Alcatraz.
That's it. That's it.
What I mean?
Give me a good guitarist and that frontman, and that's what I need.
Joe is a great guitar player. He was in a band called Trash Broadway, put out a record in the late 80s that went nowhere. But he was a teacher, you know, teaching people in Boston for years, and now he's playing with fucking Graham Bonnet because he's an Yngwie disciple. So it's perfect. He's one of those guys that got the job, you know, the Tim Ripper Owens story, except for guitar.
If you're gonna, you know, be a disciple of someone, Yngwie is not a bad person to copy. You know, guitar wise.
Yeah. Not much of a driver.
Nothing else. Yeah, don't crash the Ferraris. Don't do anything else that Yngwie does. But guitar wise, copy Yngwie. That you'll be in good shape.
You know he's singing now, right?
Is he?
He sings at his own shows. Yeah.
Really? I saw him at NAMM like 3 years ago, maybe, and someone else was singing "This Could Be Paradise."
No,
it wasn't him.
No, he's singing now.
I hate
doing
to
it all
ask.
himself.
Is it good?
No.
But if you ask Yngwie, it's probably the best.
No, if you ask Yngwie is like, I'm singing because I need to control all of it because it's my music and my vision and my thing, and nobody can do it the way I want to. He's honest about it. You know, he's never going to be, I mean, nobody's Joe Lynn Turner or Jeff Scott Soto or Mark Bowles. I mean, nobody's that guy. I mean, Yngwie, look, very few people can do it all. Like the Paul McCartneys of the world that can play everything or the Trent Reznors to update it, or Steven Wilson or whatever reference you want to make for a singular musician that can from start to finish write, record, engineer, produce, play his entire record. Those people don't exist. They're one in a million. Yngwie's not that guy. His talent is undeniable, but that's his talent. He can't write songs, but he can play like a motherfucker. He's not a singer, but that's not his thing. It's like Eddie Van Halen. When Eddie Van Halen sang on Van Halen 3, we all went,
That album overall,
I like that. I like that one.
That album overall has a lot of problems.
I thought it was great.
And you're the only one.
because
even Gary Sharon is like, oh, what was it thinking?
To be honest, John, it's because you are incapable of listening to it objectively, because you love Eddie Van Halen.
Can't say that. I love Van Hagar too.
No. But my point is, because you love Eddie Van Halen, it's very difficult for you to listen to it and go, oh boy, that is not good, because you just don't want to. You don't want your hero to disappoint you.
You're talking Johnny.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's talking to me.
If you love, there are certain people that can do no wrong. And I get it, man. That's, nobody wants to be disappointed and to sit back and admit that, like, I don't want to see David Lee Roth anymore. I want to see David Lee Roth 1984. Like, that's the David Lee Roth I want to remember. I don't want to remember the guy that looks like fucking Jonathan Harris from Lost in Space. I don't want to look at the guy that looks like.
Might as well jump.
Yeah. William, you ninny. I don't want to see that.
Panama.
You want to remember your heroes the way they are. Nobody likes Fat Axel. You want to remember them the way they were.
Actually, you know who likes Fat Axel is Krispy Kreme Corporation. They love him. They sent him a plaque for a good fiscal year.
Some of those guys, not everybody ages well. And Yngwie, for all intents and purposes, has aged well as a player. And credit where credit is due him. And he almost fucking died in that car accident. And still, after having to retrain his hands all over again, after suffering brain damage and shit, is still worlds better than almost everybody else out there.
Because it's in here. It's in here.
Right. There's
it's
something.
Like if Def Leppard lost an arm, he knows what to do. Now he has to figure a way to translate it with only one arm to that drum kit. Okay, I'll use my foot and make a contraption. And that's how he did it. Yngwie's the same thing. Even if my body is not working perfectly, my hands aren't the same way. Inside, I know what I have to do. How can I get it done?
Or like with Jason Becker. He's still making music.
He's a genius.
And
I love Jason Becker's music.
I have a feeling you guys will see him on here at some point.
That would be great.
So
that'd be awesome.
Again, one of the guys that A, got the rawest deal in the history of fucking raw deals, and B, said fuck you and is still here, and God love him for it.
And making music.
I had a listener who called us a while back, who has Lou Gehrig's, and she's not in a good way, and she listens to us every morning and calls on occasion, and she's having a hard time speaking and stuff, and she's getting to the point where it's tough for her to communicate. So I turned her on to the Not Dead Yet movie and found her the DVD and bought it and sent it to her, and she uses that as inspiration constantly.
Awesome.
So even now, his Jason Becker on a level beyond outside musicians, he now has given hope to people with ALS, which I think is fucking phenomenal. Like, the kid is a saint. He's a saint on a level that, and his attitude towards all of it. And Johnny, you know him, so you know what I'm talking about. Just godlike.
Yeah.
Even if he weren't, like, his guitar playing is the second most impressive thing about Jason Becker. His attitude and the way he's been able to deal with the shittiest hand anybody could possibly be dealt. Most people would have given up within the 5-year diagnosis. And here he is 30 years later. I mean, fuck, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's been at least 30 years. And he was given something like 3 years or 5 years. 3 to 5 years. Live.
Yeah.
You know, Jason is like, to me, like the Christopher Reeve of music. just taking what happened to him and saying, you know what, I can't change it, but I'm going to inspire others. I'm going to keep going on with my life. I'm going to do what I know I can do and push myself even further. And he's amazing. He's just fucking amazing.
Yeah. And not the, and again, a guy that had he not been dealt the shittiest hand would be spoken the way we were speaking of Vito Bratta and Reb Beach and Paul Gilbert. That good. Just he had otherworldly talent and still has otherworldly talent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's still in here. I love the idea that he can make what comes in here come out on that computer thing that he and his father developed for him to write out the music and everything, and then gets the greatest guitar players on the planet to decipher it and interpret it. And those guys look at it and have to sit back and go, can I take a little while to practice this?
Yeah. How am I going to do this? It's so good.
Because if all that stuff, when Jason writes that stuff, it's all one note at a time.
Yeah. How? I mean, imagine the patience that takes.
It's mind-boggling.
No, it's just a superhuman, and our world is better with him in it.
Definitely. Let me just say hi real quick in the chat. Renus Pinkle came in, Metal Mike 5150, Mad Dog 802 Blues, just a bunch of people, and of course our Colleen, and he does it with his eyes. You bet he does, man.
I see it. I go over to his house and I see, I see how he speaks to people and how they translate what he's saying, and he's hilarious, man. The jokes that he has, he's amazing.
Infinite respect for Jason Becker. I wish the world knew his story. I mean, the world knew his story, not just us.
Not enough to.
Yeah, not just us, not just the group of people that know, because Jason's a name drop to the people in the music community.
Sure.
But he should be, that story, if it got out to mainstream America, that story should be inspiring to everybody. And maybe it's our job to tell it. Maybe it's our job to tip people off to it. Maybe that's something we can do. But I don't know.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? I just think he's fucking insane. And I am humbled. Whenever you're sitting back and you're thinking about how shitty your world is, how shitty your life is, just take a second, think of Jason Becker getting up tomorrow morning, and he's going to fucking make a day. He's going to have a day. And so your problems are not your fucking whatever pulled muscle you have, or a lonely night because you didn't get laid, or whatever your tiny little infinite problem is for you. Jason's going to get up tomorrow and fucking make it through the day and appreciate that time. I think that's awesome.
I think Jason feels bad for me having to fuck a pillow with Johnny's face on it.
And who wouldn't, really?
Join the crowd, man. Hey, speaking of Jason, I just want to plug this. Colleen Gray, our beloved Colleen, is working on something right now for raising more money for Jason, and she just sold that guitar, one of Jason's guitars, signed by 16 of the greatest players out there, and it went for 25 grand. Great job, Colleen. Good money to a good cause, and she's working on the next project. So keep an ear out, because we definitely want everyone to know about it, because that first guitar sold really fast, and what she's working on right now is going to be at least as good as that. So keep tuned in to us. We'll keep you posted as soon as we know.
Yeah. And if you watch the video from, when was that?
Friday.
With Skolnick.
Friday.
Yeah, Colleen was on, and the guitar. We had the guitar. The guitar was on with us, and that's it right there. If you guys didn't see it,
everyone signed that. The Eddie Van Halen, Steve Vai, and just a lot of guys.
Yeah, despite the manufacturer, the guitar itself is awesome.
There's the list right there of everybody that there.
And hey, Vince, how are you, man?
It's a good list.
It's a great list, and it's going to get even better. They've got things in the works right now in conjunction with Jason. They're working with Jason because Jason signed that last guitar, and the next thing is going to be at least just as good, but probably even better. So we'll stay on top of that for you.
And if you've never listened to Jason Becker, if you're in the chat right now and you're unaware of who we're talking about, he was the guitar player on David Lee Roth's "A Little Ain't Enough" record in 1991, and has about a half dozen records out of his own stuff. He was also in a band called Cacophony with Marty Friedman, who would go on to play with Megadeth, and who is a huge guitar hero in Japan right now. He does television in Japan. But Jason is a phenomenal player and an even better human being.
Terrific, man. Also, we were talking earlier about Vito Bratta, just to shift gears for a second. We were talking about Vito Bratta. Mike Tramp and Vito Bratta finally had a little powwow, because Mike Tramp, as you might or might not know, is going around doing solo shows of White Lion material. And Vito, Vito retired. Vito opened a pizza parlor. He didn't want to do guitar anymore. And supposedly it's rumored, but I'm not proven, that he had some sort of hand injury. I don't know if that's true or not, or he just wanted an excuse. But he basically clarified with Mike Tramp, look, we're friends. Love you, man. Just FYI, you do know that White Lion is not getting back together. So he wanted to come out in the public eye and say it. And, everyone's always hope, because, hey, if Guns N' Roses, Axl, and Slash could get along again, anything's possible, right? Well, Vito's just made it really clear. Look, I just don't want to play guitar anymore. I love making pizza, and I'm having a good time in life, and I'm not into it anymore. And that's it. Just wanted to be clear. So that's out in the universe right now.
I was at White Lion's last show. It was at the Channel in Boston in 1992, 91. And I remember Vito's ESP on underneath it. It said, "Who farted?" And it was their last show. We didn't know at the time it was their last show, but it was the last show of their main attraction tour, and that was it. They were done after that show. And again, I happen to like White Lion. In fact, if you're a fan, if you don't already have this is kind of neat. It's like an anthology with some demos, like early demos of and reimaginings of some of their bigger songs.
Who was that Vito playing?
Yeah, on the demos. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And good stuff, I don't have the only White Lion record I don't have is the one where Mike Tramp tried to put together a new White Lion without Vito, because who cares? It's he was the guy in that band. He was the draw in that band. We were talking about Alcatraz. As long as you've got Graham Bonnet and a good guitar player, well, as long as you have Mike Tramp and Vito, even though Greg D'Angelo and James Lomenzo were a fantastic rhythm section, in reality, it's Mike and Vito and two other guys, and that's fine. I think we'd accept that. I think we'd accept if Mike and Vito, not that it's ever going to happen, but if Mike and Vito were to get together, people would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm interested in that." The rhythm section wouldn't matter.
I mean, I'm sure Vito's raking it in right now in takeout pizzas for the quarantine.
Yeah.
Blank Palette 2 says Vito has no hand injuries. He signs autographs all the time. I believe he still plays, but not live or for anyone. And again, the hand injury is a rumor. It's never been confirmed. You've never seen him with a brace or anything like that. And again, with that said, you can't definitely call him a liar either, because I could write my name too 100 times. There's a difference between sitting there shredding and shredding and shredding and shredding for a 2-hour show and doing that every night. It's a whole different, skill set.
Yeah, it's one thing to say, you can to sign your name or to use your hand is one thing, but to be able to do this for a couple of hours and that for a couple of hours. I mean, look at Mancuta's right elbow. Look how good is that? He's got masturbator's elbow. Look at it.
It hurts, man, but it's worth it.
Yeah, well, the struggle is real.
Did you see a couple of weeks ago I had the big arm?
I didn't. Was that when you were still doing
the
juice?
One arm just kind of like this, and my right arm I built up with with old shirts and stuff in a long sleeve. I just pulled out this giant arm.
Colleen asked about what about Vito with another singer? It's not White Lion. You know, I it's one of the things that I'm a big fan of, the chemistry of a band. You can't just throw 4 guys on stage and call it Black Sabbath just because Tony Iommi's in the band. You've got to have, there has to be something, an element that makes it work. Aerosmith, as good as Rick Dufay and Jimmy Crespo weren't the same without Brad Whitford and Joe Perry. It's not the same band. Tough to do. Bands like AC/DC and Van Halen and Genesis and Journey have pulled off miraculous things by being able to replace an essential member of the band and have it be bigger or better than it was. A band like White Lion could never do that, ever. It's either White Lion or it's not.
More importantly, a lot of people have requested to say hi to Blue Rhino tonight. So, hey everybody, rock
Don't make me get my smoochie out. I'll
rock
break
on.
out Smoochie.
Who's Smoochie?
You never
Smooch-
seen Death to Smoochie?
Oh,
Dinosaur, right? Like a purple
Yeah.
dinosaur.
Smoochie the Rhino.
He's
yeah,
he's
oh.
purple, right?
Hang on. Yeah, he's
Gonna get-
purple. Hang on.
Get the
I'll go
Smoochie.
get him.
All right, we got 4 minutes.
Accept no substitute. That's right. That's right, buddy. Yeah, and if you like Blue Rhino, like everyone loves Blue Rhino, he's the most popular member of the show. Please leave a thumbs up and subscribe and tell your friends, and please, Bang Energy Drink, don't sue us. Please.
Not us, you.
That's right.
I'm not touching that stuff.
Yes. There we go.
Yeah, we've had some subscribers tonight, which is great. Steve Anderson is here. He says 89 thumbs ups. We can get 100 before we stop.
Can 11 people before we go off the air
do
tonight?
that.
11 more people leave a thumbs up on the video, please. Or 10 now,
Definitely.
because it costs you nothing.
We've been over the entire 3 hours. We've been over 100 viewers, right?
Yeah,
The
By
entire time.
yeah.
So this is how I know Mancuda and I are going to be friends. I see the Blue Rhino.
Hold on, I'll bring the cookie.
So I see the Blue Rhino, and I'm like, okay. One of the lost Robin Williams movies. It's Robin Williams and Ed Norton, is called Death to Smoochie.
I remember that.
And Smoochie was a
Oh, right.
television character that took the place of Robin Williams' television character, who was corrupt. I'm not going to give you the whole movie, but it's a fun movie to watch. But this is one of my favorite pieces of like swag that I've been given, and it's a pain in the ass to get out of the body bag. But it's literally
Body bag, for fuck's sake. It's a body bag.
Thank you,
it's
Hugh.
literally a Smoochie the Rhino,
Cool.
which is the character that Ed Norton plays in the movie.
What's
Right.
funny is it's like he's more, you could see like he's a human in a costume. I mean, Blue
Right.
Rhino's a rhino.
Right. No, this is clearly Ed Norton in a
a
children's costume. And in the movie, the mouth, you can see Ed Norton's face in the mouth. But this is one of my favorite pieces of
No.
I'm
No,
50 I'm 52 years old holding a fucking stuffed Smoochie the Rhino. Single.
Dude, I sleep with Blue Rhino.
Smoochie is one of my favorite pieces of stupid swag.
This is my best buddy in the world.
Love my Smoochie.
Love Blue Rhino.
I don't know why, but I do. Fucking stupid.
Blue Rhino is just too adorable not to. Real quick, I want to give a recommendation tonight. I stumbled on this band the other night. I was watching something else, and someone basically showed me this this video in the comments. They say they showed me, but they left a comment under this other video I was watching, and this other video was just really, really, really neat. And hold on a second. Let me just give. Bear with me a sec here.
Do it for Steve.
Let me just give shout outs to Steffi and Renee. You guys rock. And I came across, where is this band here? Okay. The band is called, and this is one of these new metal bands that I always recommend to the audience to, like, you know, you're always looking for metal you haven't heard of from modern times that gives you that sound of 80s metal. This band has won me over so big time. They started in 2006. The band is called Tango Down. Now, I don't know if you've heard of them. They have, I believe, 3 albums out now. Tango, like Whiskey Tango, but it's just called Tango Down, Tango, next word DOWN. Look them up on YouTube. They are so fucking great. I'm totally won over by these guys. So just check them out. Tango Down. Huge, huge personal recommendation. And let me know in the comments what you thought of these guys. Am I crazy? Is it just me? I think you're going to dig them. I think you're going to really dig them.
Awesome.
So there you go.
Nice.
Paul, you got anything else?
I don't really have much. Make sure that you buy CDs and buy albums. You know, even though your local record store is closed for walk-in business, a lot of them do it on. Yeah, a lot of them do it online right now. So just do it online. Don't steal music. Support music.
Or if you can, FNA records.net.
Yeah, John Beale.
And if you can play music, man. And even if you suck, play music. And check on your friends. This is a real fucked up time right now. We joke about it because we're here in our little houses, and Johnny at least has somebody to take care of him at night. But we joke about it, but check in on your friends. Even if you don't have a chance to, to hang out and stuff like that, just give them a call and just see how they're doing. Or if you run into them on social media or text them, just go, "Hey man, how you doing? You good?" Because people right now, we didn't talk about it. And I don't really talk about it much. But last Friday, there was a kid who just happens to be a listener to our radio program, who had enough and posted this long diatribe on Facebook with a picture of him and a 1911 to his head. So I did what any human being should do, and I contacted the authorities and tried to get a crisis intervention team in there. And we're in a weird time right now where people who normally don't deal with depression or anxiety or isolation are going through bad times. So, if there's anything other than joking about music and making fun of Mancuda fucking Johnny's fuck pillow and all those things, take a second and just check in on your friends. And even if they're not your friends, check on your associates. Just make sure everyone's all right, because this shit is really weird and it's going to get worse before it gets better. I hate to be that guy, but we're going to start seeing some tragic stories in the next couple of weeks. So let's try and make sure we can, if it's somebody you can maybe help them. You never know, man. That one check in on them might be able to the difference between someone going to sleep and not. So that's all.
Yeah, look, be social distancing. Don't be emotionally distancing. Check on your family. Call your grandma, your grandpa, your aunt, your uncle, your cousins, your parents. If you're blessed enough to have these people in your life, call them. You have to stay at home. You do not have to stop talking to them. Cheer up their day. We do this show so that you guys have an escape. We get zany, we get crazy, we get dirty, we get twisted. But at the end of the day, we want you to come to us to be an escape from all the shit that's going on in the world. It's a depressing time. It's a crazy time. These are uncertain times. But if you feel that the stress is getting to you, reach out. Don't be introverted. Don't be secret about it. Reach out. Your friends and your relatives love you, and they want to hear from you. And we all will get through this. Wash your hands, cover your face. Try not to go out and look, use judgment. But we'll get through this. We will. In the meantime, we're going to make you laugh.
Try not to be an asshole today, and then make it a habit.
I'm right. I already did it. What are you talking about? Finish. Why didn't you tell me before we did this show?
Yeah, the unfortunate part. Look, time is the only unrenewable resource. You don't know how much of it you have left, so don't waste it. And just be good. Just be a good human being, and we all know what that is.
Yeah, be kind to everyone, really, especially now. Help your
Except
elderly
Mancuda.
get groceries. Don't hoard toilet paper. You know, I mean, the bottom line is we love you, our audience. We respect you, and we more than anything, we appreciate you. We want you to stick around. Okay. What do you guys think? We good?
Cobra Kai. You can actually buy that, man.
By
It's
what?
right here.
The fuck pillow?
Yeah.
Well, it's a kit. You have to buy the t-shirt. You have to buy the t-shirt. You have to modify it a little bit. You got to get some lube and put it on your own pillow. But
And there's mugs too. I mean, it's quality stuff.
Johnny Beane is the Gene Simmons of YouTube.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Powerful and attractive man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Once again, apologies to our sponsors, iHeartRadio and Bang and Swiss Picks. We fucked you again, but good news is we'll be back next week to do it again.
Connor, it's just down below, man.
Below who?
Look at Johnny. Johnny's like, don't wrap the show yet. I'm selling shit.
The join button. It's right down below. You'll see it. It's right there. It's right next to the subscribe button. And the bell is right there too.
Yeah, reach down below and grab the bell.
Okay, let's this is some of the stuff we got to do. You can become a channel member like Connor Johnson 5150. Click the join button. You'll get perks. You'll get your name. You get your name read.
You'll get spurts.
Executive producers are Charles Green, Music Therapy Lads, Robbie Johnston, Mike Neese, and Michael Smith.
The captain.
The captain, yeah.
And thank you to our channel members, Charles Green, Lindy Lou and Mary, Fruitcake Tony, Bozique, Charlie S., Robbie Johnson, Mike Neese, False Flag, David Ennis, Mickey Settlemeyer, and Michael the Captain Smith.
The captain.
You want to take one, Paulie?
Yeah, sure. I would like to thank our channel members, Hal Face, Thomas Santiago, James Gum, Fender Guru, Music Therapy Laz, Ghost, BC Rich, Mr. BHB Jr., Frag 5150, Hugh Caldwell, Frank Corcoran, Jim Nicholas, and JohnnyBean.tv, which is just a shameless plug. Buy his shit, please.
Please.
I said please, right?
His shit will pay for meals for children in Africa that will never see the food.
Right. Yep. It'll be just like the losing Super Bowl team. They'll feel like winners, but they won't be.
Yeah, they'll be in the locker room crying.
This is cool. Johnny's got Kirk Winstein from Crowbar on April 24th, which is the 24th of April, which is like 3 days from now.
Which is Friday.
That's Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. Kirk Winstein from Crowbar will be on. I think he's also been in Down as well.
Yeah. And talking with Billy Sheehan, the great Billy Sheehan of Mr. Big and David Lee Roth's band, and a lot of stuff.
Thrasher.
Which one?
Thrasher. Remember Thrasher?
Thrasher. The list goes on.
Sons of Apollo.
He got so many albums. He will be with the show May 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern, live. And talking with Greg Renoff.
Mm-hmm. Van Halen Rising. You guys know the Van Halen Rising book?
Yep. And he just wrote a new book about Ted Templeman called A Platinum Producer's Life in Music. Templeman is a genius of unparalleled levels, and I'm sure Greg will get a lot of Van Halen related stories and probably some Montrose stories as well out of him.
And I'll bet it's just at least as good as his Halen book, which was fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm hearing that Ted Templeman is from Santa Cruz, which I didn't even know, which is where I am.
Yeah,
so
and let's do one more plug for on Thursday nights. Don't forget to tune into Nez Says with our buddy Dave Nesdahl on his channel on YouTube. So check that out. Shout out to our buddy Dave.
And a belated happy 50th birthday. So if you see David, remember to remind him he's old.
Hey, Grandpa, come here.
Yeah. All right.
We love you guys. We love all of you. Leave comments, leave thumbs. Tell us what you think. Well, don't tell us what you think. Just leave comments.
Leave comments down below that John Mancuda can reply to the rest of the week, because he does.
I do that. I do answer every email.
Because he has nothing else to do in his life.
All I have to do is jerk off into Jello molds. Trust me, I got nothing to do. I'm in quarantine. It's me and Blue Rhino. That's it. So yeah,
and shirts with this face on it.
desperate times, my friends. Desperate times.
Any port in a storm.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys. Actually, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Doing a pop-up show tomorrow afternoon.
Owner pop.
So tune in for that. It'll be great. It'll be great.
Will it?
Yeah.
Definitely better than Tuesdays.
Yeah. All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.